huh?
Yeah, Jesus has left the fucking wheel, and it's not a wheel, it's a plane.
Isn't it the expression usually, "Oh Jesus, take the wheel"?
Yeah, well, we'll see. What happened is somebody asked him to, and then by the time somebody else looked back in the front seat, they were like, "Oh shit, I don't think Jesus is at the wheel anymore."
All right. Well, welcome back to Death's Door, and I have to figure out. Oh, I vaguely
Well, you just got through this door, so I think you're in the right place.
Yeah, but then
I think you did death
no.
after the door,
Fuck.
though, and it's supposed to be like a space in between.
I think it's this way. Ah, shit, I have no idea.
This is a lot more endearing because it's just a little fucking crow hopping about.
Oh, this game's fucking adorable. I mean,
It's more bright and cheery in some of these levels than it has any right to be.
Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, it was just those couple guys. Oh, I remember this. Oh shit.
Uh-oh, Spadudio.
Ah, fuck off. Oh shit.
Oh shit, oh fuck, oh shit. Okay, that was kind of cool. Is that the bomb thing that you throw?
Yeah.
Nice. It's so nice for you to be able to hurl a cooler version of what they've been throwing at you.
There we go. Goddamn. All right. Yeah, if I didn't lose all that health, most of my health in the process. It is what it is. Oh, hey, there's a health thing now. Okay. Now I don't remember what the right way to go is. Well, Tim, how you been? How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Oh, that's right. This is where I died. Because there were so many enemies up on these platforms that I couldn't fucking... That's right.
Well, you're gonna beat him now. And that boomerang fucking Minotaur is not gonna know what hit him.
There we go. Okay. Seems...
Jesus, how much damage does that do?
What, the bomb?
Yeah.
A lot.
So, I know relevant to what we were doing for Gnomes Politics and Cannibalism last week, which was Multiverses.
Yeah.
Have you seen the games that are coming out for the month of June?
For the PlayStation Plus?
Yes.
I know God of War is one of them. I did look at them, but...
Alright, I'm just gonna get the full list because it's even more hilarious with the final thing at the last. The second one is Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker.
Is that like a Naruto to Boruto? Is that like a human centipede type thing?
It's one of those Naruto fight games that like occasionally end up being good.
Oh, yeah.
Because like I once saw a 3D fight version of that and it actually worked.
I'll take your word for it.
Exactly sure on which it was, but the fact that you could move in like a 3D arena style, not like real 3D, not like you can knock somebody into the background type shit. but like it was an actual arena. You could strafe each other, and it would punish you for strafing too long, or trying to hold the block too long, or timing the parries wrong. It was actually about whoever had more skill instead of button mashing, because it would punish button mashing.
Interesting. Hey, and that part was given such a hard time last time and beat it in one shot this time. But I mean, yes, like I three. So there are some good 3D fighters. I mean, Soul Calibur,
They're
Tekken.
just difficult to do, and so.
Well, the thing that makes them not work is like Mortal Kombat, right? Like the games like 4 through like 9 were 3D, or no, 4 through 8 were 3D like that, and it trivialized a lot of the game because Mortal Kombat is, there's so many projectiles, and like kind of ranged things about the gameplay and the way the characters work. But in like Tekken or Soul Calibur, which are designed from the ground up to be 3D instead of starting 2D and then going 3D, those games, they're all about up close melee, like completely about that with not at least very little in the way of projectiles. Oh my God, he's got so many names. Oh my God, I couldn't read all that.
That is terrific.
Oh, Jesus.
Holy shit. You know what? I'm gonna look up the Frog Boss's full title.
So you can read it to the...
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. Okay, there we go. Oh shit. No, please do. Actually, that sounds great. That's a great idea.
Okay. King of the swamp, guardian of the flooded fortress, lord of his domain, ruler of all he surveys, champion of the people, keeper of the 5 oaths, first of his name, second of his other name, he who is without middle initial or mercy
Oh shit.
He who is without middle initial or mercy, destroyer of all those who would question his rightful rule or look at him and ask, eater of the vanquished, devourer of the indolent, guzzler of the non-committal, bestower of wrathful opprobrium, and fount of most wonderful beneficence. All glory to him and his mace, holy basher of toads and not frogs. But really, what are toads anyway? Like, worse frogs, right? Uglier too. Smartest creature in all the land, really clever, like that Einstein guy, but more handsome and, okay, hit the word count.
Jeez. Oh, so that's great.
That's fucking great.
Jesus. All right, man. I really need you to restore these. I need you to let me have some platforms back, dude.
Oh, and the final game of the month.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. It was Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. The game
I did.
Talked so much shit about because it was shit.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. Link, come here, Link. Don't chase the cat. Link, come here. Don't have to chase the cats. Hi, buddy. Mwah. You can't have the drink either.
That pup is like... Oh my gosh, that's like giving me a fucking toothache with all that sweetness.
Oh, did you just get another subscriber?
Oh, that was me resubscribing with my Prime.
Oh, well thank you, Tim. We're up to 7 subscriptions right now. That's very cool. Alright, the first part of this I've got down, but... Oh yeah, I didn't actually post it. Oh, and then it just showed up in the chat. There's the number.
That was
on
my
the...
thing. It's they subscribed for 5 months, currently on a 2-month streak, and then it asked me if I wanted to put anything there.
I reign supreme in Subland.
Yeah, it's better than Domland. Because it doesn't matter if you're on top in Subland.
Oh my god.
You can always come from the bottom to the top. I'm sorry, I'll stop now.
Come on, motherfucker.
I like how he wiggles his butt before he jumps like a cat.
Oh, I missed that. Oh, shit. Yeah, him taking all my platforms away is, yeah, it's not making this easy.
Yeah, he's being he's quite the little sucker there.
Come on, buddy.
One game that I believe came with the month of May, for anybody who hasn't picked it up, that I've been genuinely enjoying. What is it? God damn it.
Jesus.
Curse of the Dead Gods. There we go.
Yeah, you're having fun with that one.
Yeah, I kind of expected it to be, I don't know, more like something else than it is.
So you would describe it as unique?
Yeah, it's based off of Mesopotamian cultures and not just one specific myth. There's 3 different casts of Mesopotamian god that it follows, or rather 3 tombs.
Okay.
And so that is how it kind of makes itself not rather, how would be the word to put it? It's unique in that it draws from stories and pictographs and things, and I don't know, just you don't see a lot of games that draw on Mesopotamian culture and actually like use things from that culture instead of just like, I don't know. Just
I mean,
like,
we
look,
don't.
It's a gold mask.
Yeah, Mesopotamia's.
It's got a lot to draw from, and that it draws so much from so many different things makes me like it more, rather than just drawing off of one basic motif.
Come here, Link. Come here, buddy. Come here, Link. Come here, dude. Can you just relax? You're pacing so much. You're so pacey right now. Yeah, are you good? Can you lay down? Can you lay down? He's like, I don't know, Davey. Alright.
And the whole story is that, and not that there is much of one, is that the gods are dead, and they've cursed their respective tombs and temples, and all the disciples within. Kind of as one last fuck you.
Fuck you, Sharon.
Yeah.
Alright.
I'm really good at making him,
That part I've got down.
Oh,
it's it's once the platforms all disappear, I'm just like, I don't know what to do anymore.
I need help.
Ah, that's what it. Okay, so you can shoot the mace when he's turned around, and you can bring the platforms back yourself. That's what you're supposed to do.
That's actually really cool.
That's what the actual point is supposed to be.
Instead of him just shaking his little butt and then showing it to you and just being like, look at my little butt. Okay, I'm gonna kill you now.
Yeah. Exactly.
But with Curse of the Dead Gods, you know how in Hades that the restoration mechanic, or rather the weapon mechanic. Like, you go to a room filled with pedestals that have items that you've unlocked over the course of gameplay.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Well, in this one, you're dropped at the entrance to like the lobby essentially, and you can gain boons left by the dead gods, or pick up a weapon off a pedestal, and it's randomly generated. And the more you complete the game, the more both weapons you unlock, and the more likely that pedestal is to contain a better weapon.
Okay.
And you can unlock up to 4 pedestals, but essentially that always guarantees that you're going to be forced out of your comfort zone every once in a while. Like, you find a weapon you're really good with. Like, I found the whip and machete. That was a really useful combo, and now I'm having to play with only throwing daggers and daggers. So,
all right, interesting.
And it's like constantly using the like, you run the risk of being corrupted by the curse. The longer you're both in the darkness and the deeper you go into the temples. So light as a saving, like a sanity saving mechanic, is kind of something. But also, it affects the gameplay, not just in, like, you're in the dark, it makes the stat go up. It actually changes what types of damage you take more of, and how hard you're hitting certain enemies, and you can use the torch to light enemies on fire, and then use them as the torch.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, they then produce light from their own flame.
That's awesome. There was a few puzzles in Resident Evil Village where you had to light a zombie on fire and then get them to walk into something for you.
Oh, that is actually really cool. See, I love how some of the puzzles in Resident Evil, I will admit, I forgot how much of a puzzle fucking solving game that is. When I was playing 7, I was like, oh shit, that's what this is for.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say especially the originals, and like the newer ones they definitely have some, but like some of the stuff in the originals like actually would stump me for a little while. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's one of the things I think is really kind of playing for it in its favor, because people will talk about like the combat, or they'll talk about the story, and I'm like, how much story did Lara Croft have in its earliest iterations? Not as much as people would remember.
Well, Resident Evil had lots of story in its original iteration. Story involving Jill sandwiches.
Fucking.
Oh, I also got my sexy new red controller.
Ooh, nice.
That nice red color. It's pretty sleek. Got the purple one showing up tomorrow.
Nice. It makes me want to spend money on a controller I don't need nor will use. Well, like, I suppose I'll use the colored one more, but still.
Yeah, what would happen would be the one you have already would be the one you wouldn't use, really. That's what would happen.
True. But if one of them breaks, I'm gonna have a real good reason.
Well, the main reason one, they were having the drift issue, but also there's just a really good sale. I mean, these are normally $75 controllers, and they were only $59. So.
Yeah, that's a good alignment of situation for sure.
I mean, like, yeah, I'm glad they happened to be on sale when I needed there to be a sale.
I love how he's already dead, and you're just like, you're supposed to be paying your respects, and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna cut off his leg.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
What kind of shit has he got?
But also,
still wearing a scarf.
Is that like already giant arrowhead? Wouldn't it be on the receiving end of one of these? Okay. Not sure what that did or what that gave me, or if that did
Does
anything.
That upgrade the bow?
Didn't look any different. But maybe we have to use it or bring it somewhere.
I love how he's Steadhone instead of Headstone.
Yep. Okay. Shoo.
I'm also really glad that Corbin and I have already died twice in Divinity, because it's supposed to be a game where, like, if you focus on the combat and min-max it, it ends up being like a walk in the park. But if you actually follow the story, you know,
Sure.
it gets fucking hard.
Takes quite a bit longer.
Yeah, I suppose it's more of a game that you're not, like, meant to specifically focus on min-maxing, like you can in some games, but
it defeats the purpose of it a little bit.
Exactly, yeah.
Alright. Now, my problem is that I don't really fucking remember... I don't really remember... where to
Should
go
I have
now.
Siri play How Did I Get Here by Odessa?
Would you want to just look up what the path, like the general like direction that I'm meant to be going in? Because we've beaten the witch and the frog, the old witch and the frog king. Now, and I don't know. I don't know where to go.
Grove of Spirits. You were at the estate of the Urn Witch. And I'm guessing that was the flooded fortress.
Yep.
Have you already been through the Lost Cemetery?
That's like a hub area almost. That's like the first area.
And been to the Urn Witch's Manor, beneath the Ceramic Manor, east of the door. You've been to the Mushroom Dungeon, correct? In the Forgotten Depths.
You know, I'm gonna need to look at the doors I have unlocked and double check, because I'm honestly not 100% sure about that.
Okay, yes, you do. That's where those flowers were shooting the explodey spores, and you needed to get those.
Okay.
Done, get them out of there.
Get him done.
And let's see, who was the boss of that region? Really memorable if we forgot already.
Well, I feel like we've only really fought 3 bosses.
Okay, so that was just like a through area.
Yeah, that was just on our way.
Yeah. Alright, so Castle Lockstone, the Frozen Fortress, seems to be your next area.
Okay.
And whoever was making this guide only put down on the page, let's see what he wrote. Create this page by selecting Edit in the Page Tools.
Whoa, just stumbled on like a secret enemy or something? Ooh, shit.
Well, that's neat.
Ooh. Ooh. Damn, I couldn't even tell if I was hurting him or not. Oh, no, I could see the cracks. I could see the cracks forming. Oh, and we're stuck on this until I do it, apparently. You know, Nadia had never seen Shawshank Redemption. So we watched that the other day.
That seems like a good classic movie to see.
I mean, that's one of the best movies ever made. Instant classic. Shit. I was doing well there for a minute. And I fucked it all up!
at least you get a chance. Like, I feel like that's one of the messages of Death's Door. No matter how badly you mess up, there's always another chance.
Well, with video games, there is.
Yeah, exactly. But also, another way to look at it through a different paradigm. Because the game does have a tendency to take concepts that are very prevalent in the public consciousness, like the Baba Yaga style Urn Witch.
Like, is Baba Yaga super prevalent in the public consciousness? I'm genuinely asking.
Baba Yaga isn't actually one of those myths, people that think is thousands of years old. It's relatively new in terms of only being in the last 100 years.
Silent Servant has been vanquished and their soul power added to yours. Your bomb spell now no longer damages you, only your foes. Okay, so I could throw it right next to me and it won't hurt me.
Nice.
Interesting. So secret bosses upgrade your weapon. So that's how you get weapon upgrades, is by fighting secret bosses.
Secret boss.
Huh. Alright. Well, Tim, where should I go?
Well, Lost Cemetery is the proper path.
Right.
So,
I guess it just...
Once in Lost Cemetery, head northeast up the stairs. Then continue northeast through the open gate, and then up the ladder. Head north, and then up the next ladder. Then continue north. So, you're looking for the northeast portion of the map.
I forgot there's signs, too. Okay, so that's towards where we already came from. Let's wait to the summit. Oh, wait, is the summit's... Well, maybe before we go to the next area, we could check in with that guy that has sent us on this quest in the first place.
Oh. Apparently there's a great sword that you unlock. I don't mean to I only say that as in keep out an eye for secrets and stuff. So I won't spoil how to get it. But just know that there's, I guess, a bunch of secrets in this area compared to others.
Right. Just one more giant. Okay, so there is only one more major soul. It's at least to get this open.
So, are you telling me you have to defeat the 4 lords to take their their dark soul?
I think that's what's happening.
So that your dark soul can be strong enough.
To the west. Okay.
Okay. This is just Dark Souls.
There's definitely some similarities. That is undeniable.
If deniable was a river in Egypt.
Oh my god. Did you? Yeah.
That
you feel proud of yourself right there?
Bird facing towards where his wing is held out to. The aesthetic where they managed to fit birds into everything. I love it.
It's too bad it's only one crow I'm playing as instead of 2 crows.
It's just 2 crows.
It's 2 crows, man. Alright. Okay. He said to the west, and he showed me what the door that I'm looking for looks like. So at least I got that. Let's see. I think I'm going the right way. I don't fucking know.
So Baba Yaga was actually a supernatural being that is kind of an amalgam of fairy tales told across the varying regions of Slavic culture.
Yeah.
And only once once people began to be able to travel faster and Slavic culture developed into Prussian and Russian culture, then you have fairy tales that spawn as a kind of that amalgam of the different cultures. And there are different, like, Lithuanian, Ancient English, the Druids, Proto-Slavic, Sanskrit,
Damn,
even.
Druids always half-assing and all.
Well, like, the fact that you can find references to Baba Yaga in Sanskrit is kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
But,
absolutely.
It's all based around that different regions kind of in portion that they contribute to the sum total Baba Yaga myth.
And one weird meowing girl at an airport.
Oh, god damn it. I forgot all about fucking Chelsea Dagger through my goddamn ears.
Just cringe thinking about it.
Gimme. At one point in my life, if I had a nightmare about an evil clown, it would be that. No longer, but for a while. It's like the longer you get away from a house fire, you start to forget it a little bit less. The smell of smoke, a little bit more faint.
So we actually came into this area before, and we just didn't have the abilities necessary to progress in it, so I should have remembered.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't have remembered, so I feel a little bit better there. And no one in chat is speaking up to say that they remembered, so I'm gonna just assume that nobody remembered.
Yeah. Well, hello there, Barb the Bard. Barb the Bard. Oh, well, Tim, we got the first official show of not E3 tomorrow.
Of not E3?
Well, there's no E3's not happening, so there's a bunch of, events close together in rapid succession with game announcements. That's not E3.
So it's air
Summer
quotes E3.
You could just call it Summer Games Fest. That's what the actual moniker now is. And it is a different event. It's different people running it and stuff. But it's Jeff Keighley, right? He started the Game Awards forever ago in a basement, and then it turned into what it is. And now he is kind of replacing E3 with this other event because E3 has been sucking right over the years more and more. But
well, and it's like, if you can't get every game under the same umbrella, the kind of luster that is having the fucking E3, it kind of gets diminished.
Yes, and also E3 was it was a trade show for investors for the vast majority of its existence. It became for fans because fans were demanded to have it more than it was ever intentionally supposed to be for fans. Fans kind of got in and was like, no, we want this, that we're having this, but it was never really meant to be for fans originally, anyway.
See, isn't that funny how, the public consciousness kind of forgets that easily, that E3 used to just be an investment thing?
I mean, and they never totally lost that. A lot of the times people would complain about the stage shows that people would most complain about would be the ones where they'd come out and stand there and talk too much about the technology, and people would be like, get the fuck off the stage and show us some games.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I don't think is unreasonable because that's kind of what everybody's there for. But,
and it's kind of what it inevitably evolved into. Because that's kind of what they had to do to get, hey, look at our game. Who wants to invest more in our game? And then
right,
people
just
are
show
like,
the game.
we want to invest. Come on, show us some more.
Yeah. Well, and Summer Games Fest is more intentionally like, hey, this is for fans, like immediately from kind of day one. It's like the whole point. All right, can't do anything over here. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm excited. So the first show that is tomorrow is Sony. It's about a half hour long. Hey, Afternoon Tune's here. How you doing, Afternoon Tune? Just talking about the NBA Finals. No, I don't sports, which I feel like is the best way to say it.
Like, he may be scrawny, but that doesn't equate to sporty.
You don't. I just don't sports really. Not that I mean, not that I have a problem with sports, but yeah, it's just not my thing. I just don't really follow it. Now, if you made a hockey video game where you could Mortal Kombat fight each other and like kill each other and like actually kill the other player like during the game, now that I would play. That would be a sports game I'd be super into. Yes, that was in The Simpsons. That was totally in The Simpsons. Simpsons did it. Yep. That's South Park.
Simpsons did it.
That's a great episode. But no, yeah, we were just talking. Well, I'll tell you what I will be watching tomorrow, though, is the Sony State of Play. We just about a half hour long. Who knows? Who knows what we'll see? But I'm hoping for KOTOR. That's what I want. I think we're very likely to get a release date for God of War Ragnarok tomorrow. I think that's very likely something they're going to show. And if not tomorrow, sometime during June, or just Summer Game Fest in general. I think we'll see it sometime.
I think especially with the fact that they're putting God of War for free on PlayStation Plus.
So it doesn't get delayed. Yes, that's a good point, Tim. They just put the first one out for free. That's definitely like kind of early marketing tease. I think. Well, they Afternoon Tune, they just came out and said, don't worry, it's still coming out this year. Like maybe a week ago, they said that. So I'm pretty confident that it won't get delayed. And 2 weeks ago or so, some merchandise really some. No, I don't think so. At least I haven't heard for that one. But some merchandise for God of War got leaked or whatever. Like not even like what it like. It's just like keychain shit that you'd see at GameStop, right? Keychains, stuff like that. Nothing super important. But the merchandise had September release dates attached. So that could be either it's like the merchandise is dropping right around the game, or maybe it's like November release or something, and then they've got merchandise coming out in September, like as part of the marketing campaign. But I'm willing to bet that God of War will come out. God of War Ragnarok will be a fall Q4 release. I would love for it to just be September, just so it's a little sooner. But also, it would make sense to release God of War Ragnarok during like a cold season, right? Because of Fimbulwinter and all that. Damn bards. I feel like they're always doing the least work. Alright, we got multiple routes to go here. Oh yeah. I guess I don't know if I'll watch that tonight, but I will watch that sometime either tonight or tomorrow. Here it's fire. All right, interesting. I mean, I'm enjoying it more than. Oh shit. Ewan looks good. Yeah, he does look good for 51. He's aged well. Now, Tim, how much of a Star Wars fan are you, Tim? I actually feel like I don't know if we've ever really talked about Star Wars because
I have seen the original 3. Yep. I haven't seen any of the prequels. I played the original Star Wars Battlefield, or not?
Oh, the Battlefront.
Maybe Battlefront. There we go.
Nice.
And I have seen Rogue One, and I have seen the 7th one.
Okay.
So,
I mean, honestly,
and most of the games.
The only place I'd say you're missing out is with some of the video games. But movie-wise, skipping the prequels is not missing anything, I don't think.
That is like the common, I feel like everyone says that.
Well, if you don't want to think of Darth Vader as a little bitch. No, I played Fallen Order on my own before we ever started streaming. However, we have talked about going back and doing a stream for it because Tim never played it, and because it's Souls-like and Souls is kind of being Tim's thing.
It's our bailiwick, whatever the fuck that is. And why did Bailey get a wick after him?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
Probably some British bullcrap. Sorry. I will never not be sorry. Actually, no. I'll never be sorry about making fun of the way British people talk, because they've been doing it longer to us.
I mean, man, I'm going off on a tirade about the French every other stream, so,
Well, and,
I don't think you have to feel
what
bad.
Was it? In the actual American Revolution, the Brits were already making fun of the way the colonials talked. So
did you know?
A patriotic pastime.
This is actually hilarious. Did you know that the ancient British accent going back to pre-aristocracy, it actually sounded like more like a modern Southern American accent, because when the aristocracy came to be, they went out of their way to develop a new accent to not sound poor, because of course they did. Pre that happening, the British accent sounded a lot more like a Southern American accent before that happened.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Tim doesn't need to watch the prequels. He could just watch the Red Letter Media review of it. I mean, that is a lot funnier. I will say, if you were to ever watch the Star Wars prequels, it's hard to not recommend watching those with the riff tracks, right? Like the Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
those are hilarious. That's a great party thing to throw on and hang out, and yeah. That shit's great.
Now see, that does sound pretty fucking keen, if I do say so myself. Because
from my point of view, the Jedi are evil. From my point of view, a monkey wrote the script with its penis. Oh, it's right below us too. It's kind of messed up. Kenobi and Yoda tried to have Luke kill his dad without telling him. Yeah, I mean the Jedi do suck.
Both orders suck. It's just one has a better public image and arguably kills less civilians.
Well, like the idea that the Jedi suck is actually interesting. That's something that it would have been cool to have like actual story focus on how fucked up and corrupt the Jedi actually are. That's something that would have been really interesting to explore in the story of the prequel movies. I mean, the idea that I've thought about it so many times of like, well, how could you make those movies better, good at all? And I'm like, the idea that Anakin just feels like he's still a slave, he just has new owners, is actually a really strong and powerful idea that could have been really sad and made for a good, dark, sad character arc for him. But they just did not know how to get that across in the story. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Oh shit! Wait, what? Like that could have been an interesting character. It really could have. Anakin Skywalker should have been a like Lucifer's fall kind of thing. I think they tried to do that in the sequel trilogy. Really? I guess I don't. I guess I don't see it. But maybe I'm just. I mean, maybe I just missed that. But I feel like the sequel trilogy is just remaking the original trilogy, except for Last Jedi, which tried to do something different. But mistake of the universe, some might say. Is that not an apt description of all life? Mistake of the universe, one which grows and thrives. Existence born into consciousness. However, the consciousness is the most important and noble goal. All right. I don't know. Yeah. So I've got a. My relationship to Star Wars is pretty lukewarm for the most part. I'm not a big
Unless
Star
you're
Wars
talking
guy.
about KOTOR, in which case I'm pretty sure you could reignite a neutron star.
Yeah, no, KOTOR I fucking love. Didn't Lucas also say the fall of Anakin was supposed to be like Lucifer? He may have. I think the movies are extremely ineffective at actually, like telling that story. But
because the reasons that he, for which he falls, don't have good foundation.
Well, he also just falls at like it's like one scene, and it's kind of a very mere suggestion of doing something bad is enough for him to just go, all right, I'm in. He's like, do I help my best friend or do I help this other guy who's been nice to me? He was crispy. He was crispy. Oh, hey, Alex.
Crispy.
What's up, dude? Yeah, I'm honestly, if Obi-Wan really had compassion, he would have at least peed on him to put the fire out. I mean, jeez. Hey, not much, Dave. Not much, man. Just plugging away. Oh, I got that new controller did show up. Fuck off! God damn it! Oh shit! What the? Yeah, well, I didn't feel like... Oh, shit, damn. I didn't notice the drift on the controller so much yesterday, just because Returnal is a game where the movement is... It's so constant. Like, if you're stopping and standing still, then you're gonna die. Like, you're about to die and then fail at the game. Like, almost like Doom. In that sense, like you moving is surviving in a game like that.
And more often than not, The same holds true for Banner Saga.
Wait, really? I thought that was more like a turn-based thing.
Well, I mean, like, more often than not, letting your caravan stay and rest is gonna get somebody killed.
Oh, sure. Like in a narrative sense.
Yeah, like, a bunch of people are gonna starve and die of exhaustion if you don't rest. But you have to be careful about where you do actually rest, because sometimes, you know, you're resting near a village and they're eyeing your supplies really carefully. And then you're like, yeah, I'll post some guards. Oh shit, the guards were fucking stabbed to death. Now you're down those guards and your supplies are gone.
That sounds like some bullshit, man. And then you have to eat each other Donner style.
Yeah. I feel like that bomb is the safest method of dealing damage, and a lot of it.
Doors still don't much care for them. Yeah, no, it's very helpful. But Tim, I know you said you said what you had seen of Star Wars, but how big of a fan of Star Wars are you actually? I'm just curious because I'm not a big fan.
I thought Rogue One would have been a cooler movie to get than any of the trilogy, like any of the fucking.
I'll be honest, I hated Rogue One. I really hated
a lot of Rogue One, but I at least thought like the idea of telling a story as to how the fuck
the concept I liked, but I mean
the execution in a lot of ways was flawed. Like, it's been long enough now that I can't remember what exactly I thought they did right, but I remember liking it more than
what,
more
7?
Than 7, yeah. 7, I guess, is what I was comparing it to, because
and 7 was the best of those 3 newer ones too. I mean,
the one where they basically do another Death Star, except it's a death planet.
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
That one just feels so weak. Are the other ones worse?
Well, 9 is also just feels like they're remaking the other movies. And 8 is the one I respect the most of the 3 because it does try to do something different. But the problem is that it's a middle movie in a trilogy where I guess I can't really do anything up here, can I? All right, but the problem with 8 is that it's the middle film in a trilogy where because of the what the first one is, the fact that then the 8th one tries to go in such a hard turn, like tone-wise and like what it's trying to do, it feels weird, and so it's like maybe if the director who did 8 did all 3, I think the whole trilogy would have been way better. But there's this tonal whiplash between them. And then also even more so because 9 then just goes back to the same bullshit that 7 was doing after 8 tried to do something else. And so the whole thing just feels wildly inconsistent.
I feel like 7 was mainly banking on getting as much of the original cast as they did back.
Well, what 7 was doing was it was a remake of A New Hope, which on its own isn't necessarily a bad thing because it had been 40 years since there was a good Star Wars movie, and people, especially like kids who maybe hadn't seen the originals, didn't need a reason to give a shit about Star Wars. So remaking the first Star Wars, I think, isn't a bad thing for the first movie, but then they needed to go in rapidly different directions after that. And 8 kind of tried, but then 9 was just the same nostalgia bait shit again. So.
Well, and also, when they wipe out Alderaan gets shoved in our face, I think, a fair bit more in the original trilogy.
I disagree. You don't see anything or learn anything about Alderaan. It's just kind of like, oh, that planet we never saw or heard anything about got destroyed. Like, yes, Leia cared, so that made you care a little bit more, but we didn't know anything about Alderaan. We never saw it. We don't know any character from it other than Princess Leia. I mean, literally, there was no reason to care about Alderaan other than her POV.
And it might just be because I haven't seen 8 and 9, but I feel like 7 on its own didn't give hardly anything into those planets other than showing the people be sad that they were going to die.
Well, here's what they did do. It did kill the Gungans, because Naboo was one of those planets. So the Gungans were all massacred, and even though it was off screen. So that is the like Jar Jar.
Is that Jabba? Oh, okay, yeah.
No, that's Jar Jar.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a very positive thing. But no, I mean I'm not a huge fan of the Force Awakens. That's the thing is I think the Force Awakens is a fun but mediocre nostalgia trip. It's not a great film. I don't think, but it's competent. How much can Star Wars evolve? Oh, it could evolve a bunch. They just refuse to allow it to. It could evolve. They could absolutely do shit with it. I mean, if you've played Knights of the Old Republic, there's a lot of evolution there. There's a lot of evolution there.
It's funny that some of the best stuff that was made, especially for the time period.
Yes, you could.
It was created in.
Yes, you could.
Is imagine what it's gonna be like with the budget and lack of constraints.
What, Star Wars?
No,
KOTOR. With KOTOR. Oh yeah, sorry, the game itself.
Because
no Jedi.
KOTOR
You could do stuff without Jedi in it. At least without. I mean, Jesus. At least without them making the main characters. Definitely play KOTOR when the remake comes out. Shit, I will recommend people go play the original KOTOR still, because I think the story holds up so well. Now, KOTOR has Jedi and Sith still, but... Oh, shit. But there's Star Wars stories. When is the remake coming out? Right now, it's slated for 2023. Oh, fuck. Oh, damn it, I took too long.
That's the thing,
Right.
we haven't gotten a whole lot about it other than a really, really short teaser.
But we might see more tomorrow. Shit.
Yeah. But it's very early to say how true to the original game they're going to be.
They've
But
got like
considering the
200
size
plus
of
staff
development
members.
Yeah.
And 200 plus of the staff are people that made the original. So, is it like the FF7 remake? In some ways, it might be, but it'll also be a more complete game than because the Final Fantasy VII remake only is like it only takes like the first like couple hours of the original game, and then it extends it into its own 40-hour game, whereas this isn't going to be like that. This is going to be the whole actual experience, beginning
It's
to
really
end.
just the first 2 hours.
Well, it wasn't just that it was the first 2 hours, it was that they took the location and the general idea of the first couple hours of the original game, and they said, hey, there's more we could do with this. And they turned that city that takes up the first couple hours, and they turned that into an entire game unto itself. So there's like a 40-hour game there. It's just that, yeah, they're taking something that was they took up a piece of it and they extended it and built upon it very significantly. And some of it did feel like padding, I won't lie. Like some of the content in that game did feel unnecessary and like stretching it out. But other parts of it, more of it worked than not. So, to be honest, the combat I wouldn't mind if they took a big note from the combat of the FF7 remake for KOTOR remake's combat, because the KOTOR remake had like full on turn based back then, and I just don't see that working now. Like not the way that it is in the original. Like that's just not going to fly, and I don't think in today's world.
Yeah, unless they really switch it out into, because there are some really interesting ways I've seen um, turn-based mechanics be implemented in. Like,
Well, have you played, or do you know what the combat is like in the Final Fantasy VII remake?
I do not.
So you've got a like full third-person action control game, like a Devil May Cry, like a God of War, like a Bayonetta. You move around. You know, there's heavy and light attacks, and there's a dodge, and you have all that. But one of the face buttons, does like slow down time to a full stop, open up a menu, and then allow you to have a kind of turn-based menu with special moves and items and like certain things that are restricted specifically to that. So you have, in an interesting way, a turn-based menu that's been worked into a full 3D
similar
combat.
to Dragon Age.
Kinda, because I've played
bit more
both.
turn-based than DragonAge. Like, say, like, okay, the original Dragon Age is more in line with what I imagine.
Well, KOTOR is the original Dragon Age is a little closer to the actual just original KOTOR because that's the same studio.
Yeah, and so like, I guess I kind of get an idea of what that's like, and if given the option to upgrade it into where Dragon Age Inquisition went, I'm not so sure I would like. It's Dragon Age Inquisition is an improvement, like a much better improvement than
What, the 2
Dragon
especially?
Age 2.
Well, 2 was terrible. That was a terrible sequel.
Yeah, that was those were dark days, and people only played it because they wanted more Dragon Age, and it was like drinking salt water in the middle of the ocean.
Ugh, gross. Presenting that this Lord plans to live forever, it doesn't feel fair to me. Yeah, the boss for this area isn't coming in taunting us the way it was for the other 2 areas. But yeah, I don't know. I don't. It's not quite like just that. I feel like you just have to play it, or at least or see some footage of it to totally get a feel for it. It's interesting though. It's interesting. I'll tell you that much.
Combat doesn't have to be groundbreaking.
No, it just has to be
like,
functional.
It has to be functional, and as long as it's doing its own thing and it's doing it competently and not trying to put something else to fit this game because, well, it looked cool in that game. That's what I appreciate most about game developers, is like, I'm willing to take a chance, make a change, and break away, as long as it means that a developer is really going to try to follow their creative heart.
Well, like I have faith in this game, in this KOTOR remake, because the development team is so. I mean, it's a crazy development team. It really is. Like, you've got, first of all, like 200 plus people that worked on and made the original. You've then also got, and I can't give you any names, but you've also got like people that worked on BioShock, people that worked on Mass Effect, people that worked on OG KOTOR. You've got people that worked on like Assassin's Creed 2 when that franchise was still good. You've got some people that worked on Uncharted. You've got some people that worked on the Evil Within with Shinji Mikami. You've got a couple people from Capcom. You've got, I mean, it's really this kind of, I think it's, I mean, maybe you can look up some specific people because I hear typing. And I'm assuming that's what you're doing. But it's like this. It's this massive development team, and then on top of that, you've got Saber Interactive working as a backup studio. Plus, I don't know if you saw this, but you've got so Aspyr, right? Who's doing the remake. They've also been porting a lot of Star Wars games, like old Star Wars games, just porting the original versions to new consoles. And like, so KOTOR 2, right? They just announced they are bringing to Switch the original KOTOR 2. And that game was released incomplete originally. Then there was a fan-made mod that, like, at least it didn't bring everything from the cut content back into the game, but it did put a lot of it back in. It basically fixed the ending for a lot of people. And, sorry, there's a lot of enemies here. But it fixed the ending for a lot of people, and Aspire's Switch release of KOTOR 2 is including the fan-made mod as a free update, like, post the release of the initial game.
Oh, that's actually kind of, like, that's actually kind of clever.
Oh shit, is that Ornstein or Sma, or which, I forget which one's which, but that
is definitely Sma.
Right? Isn't that fucking looked exactly like him?
They were like, hey, in Dark Souls 3 you could fight Ornstein, but you couldn't fight Sma. Well,
so we're gonna fix that
for you. Yeah, we're gonna put him in Death's Door. I'm really fascinated with the way development teams interact with their player base post-release, because there's a lot of ways that they can deal with it, and I think one of my favorite ways is when they look at the player content and what they've done to their game, and they go, huh, that's really cool. Not only is it really cool, that's something we should have done. And so we're gonna, like, give it our 2 thumbs up and, like, kind of incorporate it. Like, I'm really a fan of that. Like, Divinity, the first one that Corbin and I are playing. When it first came out, a lot of players had very varying opinions on it, but it was, like, liked. It's just people like different things.
But it could have been better, maybe?
Yeah, like, because they did it with a team of 50 people, and it was a brand new studio with developers from different areas, but they all grew up with a love of kind of D&D and letting people pick their own choice and choose your own path, and letting you deal with the consequences of doing whatever the fuck you want.
Sure.
And so they worked really hard to incorporate that, but there were still player mods, and so they were like, huh, alright, well, we're gonna incorporate the most popular mods into the game, and we're gonna give them a whole new special spot on the main menu so that you can choose to start your game with however many of these modifications you want.
That's pretty cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, and, like, for some of them, they even, like, still kept the achievements still being unlocked. And one of the ones that could be potentially game-breaking to the scaling, they're like, we're still gonna include this, you just don't get Steam achievements. Or, like, PlayStation trophies, whatever.
Sure.
But, and then they did that again with the second one, once their team had tripled in size to 150 people. Because they'd spent even more time, longer, making this game. It was in development before the last game even stopped. And it was even bigger than the first game, but there were still things that needed fixing. And so they did it in an even more refined way, where they, like, went into the mods, fixed any incompatibility things, like made the mods work better, and then incorporated them into the game, and, like, gave them kind of, like, the people that made them kind of like, hey, this is so-and-so's contribution in the credits.
Fuck, man, that guy's really just clears through you. No, but that is incredibly cool. That's a level of fan feedback that I definitely do not see very often.
Not to mention, it's happening again with Baldur's Gate 3, because the first 2 were made in, I want to say, the early 2000s.
Fuck, man.
Which is what makes me think of it in terms of, like, how we're getting the KOTOR remake from a game that was made in the early 2000s. But it's not a sequel the way Baldur's Gate is supposed to be.
Right. Well, that's a sequel versus a remake.
But I suppose the thing about it is, they did what I imagined a KOTOR team was like now, and where they're like, they can choose to either shrink the scope of the game to be with what they could do, or we could do with like what the KOTOR team is doing now that they actually have the opportunity to, even if it wasn't exactly them saying, hey, we want to do this. Might have been more along the lines of, hey.
Well, and I will say the fan mod for KOTOR that I was talking about was actual content that the developers had been working on that the developers were prevented from finishing. So then there's like
that even cooler.
Partial code for some of the stuff in the game, but
I wish they could have come out with a mod for Demon Souls in that vein.
Yeah.
Because you recall that broken world stone, the 6th Archstone, that was supposed to be like the land of the giants, and it was like the Winter Realm.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that.
And it was actually in the game files as much as some of what they brought back into KOTOR is. And I did look into like what all they had to work with starting out. And they had the meshes in there. Like, they had the actual world constructed and models for enemies and stuff. They just didn't have the coding behind the animations, the particle effects for the animations. They didn't have the actual textures for anything. So it was a lot harder for Bluepoint to take off of what would have been there and add it to the experience, because they didn't have kind of like the full picture of what Demon Souls' original intent with the area would have been, because it wasn't even the people working, it was Bluepoint.
Right, it was a different well, and I mean the KOTOR it is a different studio working on this remake too.
Those people, it has the same minds, which makes me think
some
that
of
they
them
can
anyway.
go back. Most of them, I would say, right?
Definitely quite a few. Definitely quite a few. But I don't think it's I don't know that they have any of the creative heads, like the leads of the game involved. But they have a lot of people that worked on it.
The earliest pre-production started in 2000, but discussions went back all the way to 1999 for KOTOR. That is kind of fun.
Well, so BioWare was actually approached by LucasArts, right? LucasArts Games, which was the gaming company under Star Wars, or under Lucasfilm in general. And they asked them. They basically came to them and said, "Hey, do you want to make something? We like your work. We like your studio. Would you be interested in working on a project?" And they basically gave them two options for what they could do. They could either do a tie-in game to The Phantom Menace, or they could do their own game, but they had to set it in a really distant time period so that it didn't conflict with anything in the movies.
And do you know one of the founding frameworks they used in those discussions in 1999?
I can't say I do. At least not off the top of my head.
Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Funny.
Gallo specifically said that in talks with BioWare and LucasArts for the gameplay time and the framework of the game, they were looking at 60 hours based off of what the critical path playthrough for Baldur's Gate 2 was. It was 75 hours,
that's hilarious.
which a lot of the developers agreed was about 15 hours too long for the type of game they wanted to do. So they wanted to try to make it release in 60 hours of gameplay.
Interesting.
But Baldur's
Look at you
Gate...
doing all that research.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. History informs the past. And the fact that we're able to talk about two fairly different fantasy games, and the fact that the people who made one were inspired by the other, and the people making the sequel to the original inspiration are now looking at like, well, hey, look at all these other cool base games, because a couple of the people who work at Larian Studios worked on KOTOR.
Of course they do.
It's not nearly as many of like the original people as the KOTOR remake has, but the fact that it's even just a couple people.
No, that is awesome. Even just being a couple people. Oh shit. Fuck off, man. Got him. Fuck you, Smaw. That's absolutely what that was. Too.
Crushed his head open like Ornstein.
Right? A gift to a fellow crow to aid on your quest. Can I fly now? Is that... Of all the things I would think you'd be able to do in a video game about a bird, I'd think flying would be the one.
Now, there was a game I played recently called like a quick hike or a brief hike or something, but you were a crow, and you were like in like an island full of other animals and stuff. There's no fucking humans or whatever, and they don't explain it. But they do kind of make fun of it. They're like, you're a crow, so you have all sorts of cool jump mechanics, and like when you're walking past the people or flying past the people on the hill.
Right.
They go, hey, not all of us have wings, you know.
Is that... But they're crows.
Well, they're like the other animals aren't necessarily crows.
Oh, okay.
And they're not even
what the fuck,
necessarily
crows
other
don't have
animals
wings
that like exist. They're just like general lupine, general feline kind of animals.
Okay. Cool.
Which,
so
if
now
you're
we
gonna
can
do
get
anthropomorphic, don't do just like outright existing animals. Have your own spin on it, because a cat with a face that like talks like a human is always gonna be unsettling for me.
What is this? Is this a phone booth? Is this where Superman changes his clothes?
And before the chat takes it away, yes, I am saying I would make a terrible furry.
Well, all furries are terrible furries, so...
Well, they're also mildly terrifying.
I mean, I'll agree with that.
That's like the clown mask. Like, it's
way worse than
unchanging,
clowns.
uncanny facsimile of human existence that it causes your brain to pause and ask questions which it knows it doesn't have the time to respond and answer before whatever is behind the mask shows its true intention. Or something.
Yeah, that's not good.
The psychology behind fear of masks is actually incredibly fascinating.
Can I not?
Have you, I forget if we talked about it last week, but have you heard anything about Crimes of the Future? Produced and directed by David Cronenberg.
Yeah, I've heard it was really tame. After
for
promising.
a Cronenberg movie, yeah.
Well, and also like, people walked out of the theater because it was so violent, you know, and then the people that I actually listened to were like, yeah, no, it was super tame.
Well, and like
the critics I listened to were like, it wasn't that big.
Part of the body horror it derives from is like kind of like the shock of like the story behind it, I will admit, sounds intriguing, where humans have started to evolve away from pain. And like
isn't
they're
it just kind of doing Hellraiser? I mean, like, it's not exactly Hellraiser, but like if we're gonna
it's
go
like,
into
what if
a pain
everyone
thing,
was Hellraiser?
Right?
And
how
they don't
interesting
even feel
is
the
that?
pain. And that's like not even the reason why they're doing it. They're trying to change their outer surface to better reflect their inner nature. And it's like that's definitely a cool concept, like, but at the same time I probably won't see it because like I just haven't, like, I'm not saying Cronenberg's a bad director or anything or a bad writer, It's just not something I've typically derived much viewership pleasure from watching, you know?
No, like The Fly?
Like, I guess body horror isn't my jib.
I mean, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
But at the same time, I definitely can appreciate, like in Men. Like, it was definitely off-putting, but I'm able to see why it was there.
Sure. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the movies I watch, you would probably not be super into.
Yeah, like, I'm fine with a psychological thriller. Even a properly done slasher flick. But, like, even slasher flicks sometimes go into that body horror for the shock value.
I love body horror.
And I feel like using it purely as shock value isn't necessarily the best you could do with it. Because, like, The Fly kind of fucks with you, and you're like, well, how human is he? Like, is that still a person?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you want an interesting story in your horror for sure. I mean, you don't want to just have total nonsense. Just, you know,
a genre doesn't define.
That's what Saw is, where it's just there to be there. That's the stuff like Saw. Yeah, I don't like that either because it's a weak storytelling.
The original concept of Saw, if it would have been just a one-off and they would have like never made another one.
Well, the first one's okay by itself.
Yeah. Because like the idea of someone who like has a near-death experience that breaks him because he sees how close everyone else is to death and takes advantage of being alive, like that would be kind of cool. But that's not where they went. They just went with, all right, somebody puts them in a booby trap puzzle, and
Hold on. What's a booby puddle? Tim, you can't say
it's
booby
when you try
puddle
to
and
say
then
something and it comes out as booby puddle. That's the definition. And no, Afternoon Tune, I have not seen X.
No, I have not yet, but I would like to. The hell
on a
do
quick
I
diversion
get
until
there?
we get a reply from Afternoon Tune. If I only have Final Fantasy 1, or no, sorry, Final Fantasy 7 and 15, is it worth getting others to make those games have sense? Or just play them
Tim,
as
they are all
standalone?
standalone. They all take place in like entirely separate universes from each other. Every game in the franchise.
Thank God, because I played 1 through 4, and I got stuck on the 4th one, and I just never played it, and now it's been 18 years.
Yeah, no, you don't need to worry about that. There are a few of them where they do have a sequel, or
But 7 and 15 are not those.
No, I mean, to be honest, I just didn't think 15 was all that good. But just me personally,
See, nothing like about it stands out as something I know that I want. But at the same time, if PlayStation's just gonna give me free games, I'm gonna try to see if they're like, I'll give them a couple hours try.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't like 15 all that much, but maybe you'll like it. Maybe you will. Maybe you'll enjoy it more.
Like they've definitely been pretty solid about giving you one game every 1 or 2 months that's like actually worth playing.
My problem is I already own all the ones that they put out that end up being any good.
Yeah. Well, and that's why we don't want to be Sage, because to be a god is to have everything, and to have everything is to have nothing.
Well, I've got things. I don't have nothing. I don't have everything either, but...
Oh, to have everything is to have nothing to look forward to.
Well, there's always new things. I mean, KOTOR remake.
For a time.
I mean, only if they stop making things will that be.
But there was time now.
How do I?
No, I am in the best position to take advantage of it because I have missed several good games in the past, and like
Ash
just
to
being able to get 3 or
Alex.
4 of them in a month and be like, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Oh, interesting.
From womb to tomb, bound to our fate. See, I'm trying to think of a specific example of something that I have gotten from. Okay, Resident Evil 7. They gave me that for free, and I hadn't played it. That was actually pretty fun. Outward is one game that they gave for free that I already had, and I was like, good, because it was a really overlooked game for the type of game
Outward,
it's
you
supposed
say?
to be. Yeah, it's it takes the brutal difficulty of Dark Souls and applies a little bit more of like the survival mechanic, but only as too much as like, all right, you're not going to be as strong as you could have been if you had been following the like. It's not going to like kill you for not eating, but it will reduce your stamina regeneration and your health regeneration. And like magic isn't like an overpowered system. You have to go into a mountain, throw yourself into a ley line, and sacrifice part of your maximum health so that you can even channel magic. And like
Okay.
it's like runic magic or blood magic where you like summon sigils on the ground and then kill people by the sigils to power up your spells.
That's cool. That sounds kind of metal.
And like all your shit is on your back and like 10 pounds of it in your pockets. And
You
so
have
if you
10
want
pounds
to
of
fight,
shit?
you gotta drop your fucking backpack or you're gonna be fat rolling like Dark Souls.
Damn. Okay. All right.
And like, oh, okay, you
don't just make it easy
dropped your
on you.
backpack. Oh, but then you died. Oh shit. Oh, but you didn't actually die because there's always some sort of little cutscene or like you wake up next to a fireplace in the middle of the mountains, or you wake up in a cave on a sleeping bag with no memory of how you got there. There's always some sort of divine intervention rather than just explaining away that you died and now you're back, or you're restarting. But at the same time, there's no fast travel mechanic, which instantly I think reduces how many people would actually derive like enjoyment from it.
Yeah.
Because I definitely get like wanting,
It depends on how big a world it is, too.
and that's the thing, like it's a sizable world.
Yeah,
And
it's
they
not a
can
big
run
world with no
everywhere.
fast travel.
There's no horses. There's like,
Yeah, I don't love that. I don't love that. Oh yeah, you watching it right now, Afternoon Tune? I look forward to seeing it. I hope so far, like I said, so far it's the best of the ones they've done.
I think the only remaining thing I'll say about Outward is that there's a radioactive rust lich.
I don't. What does that mean?
So like
Shit.
it takes kind of like at one point you start exploring this fallen culture, and
Okay.
you know that some disaster like existed, and you call it corruption, but you're suffering the side effects of radiation sickness when you're exploring these cities.
Okay.
And then there's like
Interesting.
a guy in like metal armor who's like one of the only survivors, and
Like
he
fantasy
uses,
Chernobyl.
like, yeah, and he uses like this different kind of magic that's like got lightning and shit, and you're like, okay, this is kind of a necromancer.
A necromancer? Did you say?
Yeah, because like he's got like that mechanical plate mail armor, but at the same time
Interesting.
he's using this era's magic. Kind of like it reminds me a little bit of Adventure Time.
Okay. Interesting. I still will say, if the Dark Souls developers wanted to do an Adventure Time game, but that was still just as hard as Dark Souls,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that would be hilarious.
Well, because how many things did Finn and Jake fight? that seemed impossible until they realized that there was a weak point
Friendship
or
or
something.
Yeah. But no, I mean the game you're talking about does sound interesting. But yeah, the lack of fast travel, I can say
And
definitely.
believe it or not, it's one of the only PlayStation games that has couch co-op,
Oh, really? Okay.
and it is more fun with somebody else playing with you.
I
But
definitely think, yeah, that makes sense.
but at the same time, it's a slow enough paced game that I couldn't in good conscience recommend it for like a gaming stream or even to
Sure.
like most of my friends. Because like it's to the point where it took me long enough to beat the base game that
Yeah.
when the DLC came out, I was like, "Oh God, not again."
Did you even play it then?
I played the first DLC, where it's like these caravaneers that you're like, "Come on, join us on the caravan. We're going up into the plateaus," and that's where the radioactive ruins are. So I was like really into that first DLC, and then there was like I don't even know what the second one came out was, but I'd sink like I want to say 70 hours into that game at some point,
Jesus. Yeah, that's a
and
lot.
before I even realized it. But at the
One
same
more.
time, I will admit that while it's not my specific cup of tea, like the
Mhm.
fact that they've still got developers working on it, that
Oh, like
like
still doing updates. Well, how
yeah,
old is
like
this actually?
this
I
game
should.
is, I want to say, 4 years old, and they actually just released a
Okay.
definitive edition that packages all the DLCs into one and does like a whole pass of balancing and bug fixes that people had been bitching about. So the
Hmm.
developers obviously still care about their game.
Interesting. Okay. That's dedication.
But, but at the same time, it's like I'm sure you could beat it sooner than 70 hours, especially
Is that
outside
doing
of
like
COVID
everything?
times when time has meaning.
Right.
But at the same time, eh, it's one of my favorite
Eh.
games that I would never play again.
Yeah. Yeah. What's that's an interesting idea too. Do you have any other games that like you liked it?
Absolutely loved them when I played it, but looking
But
back, would
it's
I ever
just
play it again?
yeah. It's like I mean maybe it was great, but yeah, it's just you just don't feel like you would ever want to play it a second time. Like that doesn't disparage how much you liked it even. It's just that it's so big or so long or there's so much to it that you just are like, yeah, I had the experience once and that's enough.
I would say, oh God, that's a really good question.
I would say
Um,
Red Dead 2, but you haven't even finished that. So
I can already tell you that that's one of my favorite games I haven't finished. That's
yeah,
my
no, I
favorite
know.
game I have yet to finish. Um,
Definitely.
Witcher 1
Definitely.
and 2, I would not go back and play
Would you
because they
go
were
back and play 3?
simultaneously. 3, I would, if only to put it on one of the hardest difficulties, either hard or extra hard, because that forces you to make full use of every single mechanic they present you with. They're like, alright, you're
Yeah.
going on a monster hunt. You're gonna have to prepare for this bitch, or it will kill you in 2 hits.
Right.
Like, bring the right oils, bring the right transmutagens, like, fucking change your goddamn genome so that you can kill a vampire.
I mean, that is
But,
pretty badass. I don't think I would play Witcher 3 again, to be honest. I think Witcher
see,
3 is one of those for me.
I think I would only play it on, like, a New Game Plus, where I don't have to go and do half as much exploration because I've already got everything.
That's a good
Or
point. I suppose I do have the save file.
And like I after I played it, I was hooked on it enough, and there wasn't any other games that had my immediate attention that I did go
Sure.
back and find like the School of Cat and School of Bear armor sets and stuff. But like,
I don't even know what
yeah,
you're talking about. That's clearly I did
you
not.
could go to different Witcher School runes across the game area and like do monster hunts that take you into the depths of that place. and you could kind of see like this is what one of the old Witcher schools used to be like. This is their
Interesting.
armor, and through the armor you start to figure out, okay, so the bears was all about being able to like withstand damage and being more durable rather and like patient in your combat style. The Witcher
Okay.
or like the school of Cat was more about full-on dexterity and just dodging and like pure agility, and then Wolf is like a combination of the two with more of
Okay.
like that pure aggressiveness.
Interesting.
So like
Clearly, I did not do the exploring that you did.
now I will admit when I was like, all right, what all did I miss? I looked at a guide and I was like, oh
Quite a bit still.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that
'Cause,
game,
like,
you could have an over 300-hour save file in that fucking game. I mean, it's
I
kind of
think
ridiculous.
once I put like 98% of everything done, and there's always going to be like a 2% out there.
Sure.
But 98% of the game I got done in
For a game that much in it, I
125
mean,
hours.
Jesus, even that to me is
But
just
to get that level of playtime, it wasn't the only game I played.
sure.
Because you start to like, if you just play one of those games through like just on it's like okay, like Elden Ring. Like when we play that, I would like actively recommend against just playing that game, because like
Sure.
playing it like 2 on and then 1 off is like I would say a good dose, because that
Did
gives
you do that?
no.
Did you just kind of play it straight through?
I played it straight through.
Hypocrite. No, I'm
Well, I also
I'm-
played
I'm
it straight
kidding.
through, but I've been helping a nephew play through it because he's actually developed taste in games outside of the Fortnite he's been hand-fed.
I mean, that's good. That's good. Man, I cannot stand the Fortnite shit. I'm not a fan.
And the way he's looked at it is, I missed a lot of stuff on this playthrough, but I plan on doing a New Game Plus, so I'm gonna get everything I missed there. And I'm
We're
like,
gonna
okay,
try and do everything we can in the first go when we do the stream.
that is my preferred way of doing it, because it has been hilarious. Just like pulling out the boss's weapons and armors and spells, and then fighting them with him. And he's just like, wait,
I assume
you
that
actually
does
get
like
that hand?
massive. I assume that does
Well-
massive damage to that particular boss.
no.
No?
In fact,
Oh.
a lot of times when you use slow weapons on a slow boss, it's you're just like just winding yourself up to get punched.
It's interesting. I guess I would have thought that you'd have a decent advantage over them using their own weapons against them, but guess
That
not.
would be nice.
It
But I
would
guess
be
it also
nice.
depends, because some bosses are just objectively strong and some are objectively weak.
sure.
Like they
It would be
will,
a Souls
like,
game if it was that easy, though.
Yeah. Well, and Elden Ring kind of differences itself in that, like, okay, you know how in Dark Souls 2, I think it was, that there were like a couple of common enemies, or even like 3 or 4, where they were
Sure.
just bosses.
Yeah, yeah.
Elden Ring does that, but it'll make the dungeon unique enough reaching that boss, and it'll make the actual arena
Camping
different
free
enough that
throws.
you're not like, man, fuck this game. But there are bosses that are just intended to be weak, so that if you're facing a wall, you can go back and try something else that's weak, that's going to give you some rewards, but it's not like you're getting the Elden Ring here.
Okay. Interesting.
So like, just as an example, you start out Elden Ring, it gives you 2 choices. Move on to the world or jump into this bottomless pit. If you
Right.
jump into the bottomless pit, you're given your first boss, and you're given your kind of like go around as to what happens. And you actually get a
Okay.
decent amount of stuff. The game is harder if you don't jump into the pit, odd enough.
Funny.
But then they put a world boss, I'd say about a 30 seconds walk away from the spawn point.
Oh, really? Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, and they totally intend for you to like get your shit wrecked by that boss.
Damn. All right. Oh, it's these Crow's trying to have a revolution or something.
A Crowvolution?
Some sort of Crowvolution going on here.
Ooh, Afternoon Tune. You said Darth Vader's pretty boss in that episode of Kenobi. I had not been aware that that was one of the draws for the Kenobi series, and now I'm willing to give it more of a try.
Well, the whole idea is that like you never really got to see Darth Vader and Obi-Wan actually have conflict with each other. Not written. Yeah. You didn't really. There's one
you have the
scene
prequels,
but that's like, he's not Darth. Even if those movies were good, he's not Darth Vader.
Oh, there you go.
He's not made the transition yet. So even if those movies had been like genuinely great, it still wouldn't count as conflict with Darth Vader, I don't think.
Oh, and also just a little, you weren't 40% of the way done. You were like 60% of the way done. Once you finish this,
but that was counting
you'll be like 85% done.
That 40%, that's counting like the full percentage of the whole game, I'm assuming.
Well, it was more than.
Oh yeah, Miss Marvel does come out next week. I hope that's good. I hope it's good. I'm cautiously optimistic. Beast Slayer via the old Watchtowers. Okay. I do not play D&D, no. I've had many people try and convince me to, but I'm...
No, the Invisible Tim does play D&D.
Tim does. Yeah, Tim does.
And No Name does as well. In fact, No Name is currently trying to get the Gnomes Politics and Cannibalism crew to play
a gnome D&D.
At the very least, a gnome-based D&D one-shot, like a solid 3-hour session, where you have like pre-made gnome characters that you've already got to go, and No Name just plops them down into the middle of a village and see what exactly happens.
If you actually put Alex in a fantasy universe with gnomes, I'm like a race war is going to break out pretty quick.
He's also going to be a cannibalism. Just like, I need to kill the gnomes. But you're a gnome. I gnome.
Oh shit, wait, why did I do that? Oh Christ. Oh, okay, at least I can get those back. God damn it. Alright. So we're gonna doing this bullshit. Alright. Oh, okay, hold on. No, it's gotta be this one first. Fuck. These damn timing puzzles. Ah, shit. Alright. Damn. Oh, really? I gotta, like... Okay. Oh, really? When I've told No Name multiple times that if he wants to do some D&D stuff on the channel, god damn it.
Yeah, but like D&D's always more fun with people who don't play D&D, in a way.
Yeah.
Like in some ways, it's fun to play with people who are kind of seasoned
Fuck.
and know their shit. But like playing with people who don't know what not to expect and who don't know the limitations of their actions, or just how limitless their actions can be. Like,
Fucking
okay, I we were going north of this village to an outlying farmstead to see what had happened
Oh, shit.
because there were fires on the horizon, which I was only able to see because I was a spider on top of a house having just robbed someone. And
That's not cool.
so I turned into a horse to carry my friends over to the farmstead. And they get there, and they're like, all right, do you want to change back to Druid? And I'm like, no, I want to see how this plays out. And so after they do all the talking, they get invited in, but horses aren't allowed in. So I go out, and I go, like, stick my head into the window, and I, like, change just my mouth back into a human mouth. And I
Okay.
start talking to them like there's somebody outside the horse, and they go out to see who's outside the house, and it's just the horse. And we scare these people into leaving the farmstead.
I got a cat.
And they leave on their horse. And I tell the horse, watch out, they're not nice people. So, like, on the way back, like, because I talked to the horse in Horselish, you know, you find the people
Horselish?
walking up to town with all their shit because their horse abandoned them. So, like,
Oh,
and
that's
that was
funny.
only because I rolled a convincing check. And I was like, all right, you can do anything as a horse. So I entered a horse race and started a horse rebellion.
Cult.
So, like, I talked
Okay.
to all the other horses and got
Have you seen
convinced-
Sorry to Bother You?
Sorry,
The movie?
Yeah.
Have you seen? Okay, good. Good.
Sorry to bother. That's a good movie to bring up, though.
Equisapien, motherfucker.
I cannot believe there are still showtimes in, like, at movie theaters where you can see that movie.
Sorry to Bother You?
Yeah.
What? No, they're not. That came out like years ago. And also
Yeah.
was an indie movie without a lot of theater releases even at the time. What theater are you talking
Yeah.
about?
There's one out in Egan that you can go watch it at.
Is it a specialty indie movie theater that like does weird shit like that?
Well, it's possible, but also with the amount. Okay, it's the Imagine in Egan, so
Okay.
they do play.
It's not a big
already
chain.
released movies, but
Yeah,
there's also
okay. I mean, it's still cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not cool.
where am I? The
Oh, shit.
Alamo Draft House. That's what I'm thinking of, and that's the theater I went to go see Men at.
Yeah, Alamo
And-
Draft House is another. I mean, it's more of a chain, but it is a weird indie chain.
It's indie enough that they did, like, if you went to go see the Top Gun Maverick at this theater chain, they had
Uh-huh.
custom posters made for that movie because they actually are partnered with a printer that posts vintage movie posters.
See, now that is very cool. I think.
Yeah, and I didn't know that because they didn't do one for men, but they definitely did a really cool one for Maverick. So I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. Like, I didn't want to go see the movie because I've just never been into Top Gun, but I mean, yeah, it's a cool poster.
Oh, thank God.
Plus, there's just something magical about being able to have a cream ale while watching a movie.
I do kind of hate that like people are like coming up and talking to you during the movie to get your order, though. I've never been
Oh.
a big fan of that.
At least when I went there, like, I didn't really experience that. Like the way they did it was you write down after the movie,
Oh, yeah.
like, after the lights have dimmed, you write it down on the card, and if people complain about you enough, they kick you out.
Yeah, or I mean, if you talk at all, during the movie they kick you out. I mean, yeah, that's one of the things I love about the Alamo Drafthouse, because I mean that's
and they say it at the beginning of the movie too. They're like, "We will get a manager in here to escort your ass out the door."
I'm just curious.
In kinder words, of course.
Well, and like, of course, you have people that don't. I mean, they don't. Well, always there's people that don't listen.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And for those people, we have managers. And that's why I will never ever be in a supervisory role again in any business that like has any sort of interaction with the general public.
Yeah, you got pretty put off that.
Yeah, even in my job where it's not face to face, like if I get a call with an unruly customer who really wants to talk to my boss, like
You just send them
I
to
just
your
feel
boss.
so bad. Yeah.
At least, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's just people are gonna be. People are gonna
Though
be
supervisor is way cooler at my job because they're called lead operative.
shitty. Is that just a way for them to make it sound fun, even though it's not?
Well, it's the lead phone operator essentially. But they're the people with the most experience and who get paid more to deal with bullshit customers and do stuff that the supervisors don't want to do. Because there are like still supervisors, but they're the equivalent of what Laura was like.
Sure. Which was yeah. You don't get good managers in customer service jobs all that often, I don't think.
Right? Oh my god, and I've already met there's 4 supervisors. And in the office they all sit in the exact center of the office. Like at the fucking crossroads.
That's a little weird.
Oh my
but
god, they're
alright.
the cubicle crossroads. But yeah, so that they're always kind of like available. But in a remote environment, you don't really get that.
Right.
But I do get to talk to my manager on because his name is Steven. According to
Okay.
everyone
Is
who
that true?
calls in, he's Steven. But he's like, please don't call me Steven. It's so off-putting. Just call me Steve.
Okay. I thought you were gonna say his real name was just like Gary or something just completely
Oh, that
different.
would be even funnier.
It'd just be a different name altogether. And people are just shitty and call him Steve, even though it has nothing to do with him. Alex, what are you up to? If you're still there.
Actually, no, I was debating whether or not to tell you, but the main character of Steven Universe, his last name is Universe, but his mom's last name is Rose. And my
Rose?
manager's full name is Steven Rose.
Huh.
So,
Weird coincidence.
I was like, ha, that's kind of funny. Oh, Sage, I'm not sure I've ever talked to you about Stranger Things. I possibly could have because we've been friends so long and then I've just forgotten.
I mean, yeah, it's like, at a certain point, it's like, have I talked to you about this shit ever? Like, yeah, you don't
Yeah.
know. You don't even know. Oh, fuck. Damn. Well, what about it?
Well, the 4th season has come out and they've bifurcated it into 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But each, like, they're considered 2 halves of the same season. They're releasing
Yeah,
them a month
but-
apart as bulk, but they're
Right.
also about the same length as 2 seasons.
Sure.
So it's essentially they're giving us 2 seasons a month apart.
Right.
And at the same time, I've liked more of it than I've disliked. Like, there are some parts where I'm just like, wow, that's really annoying. And then I take a step back and I'm like, okay, they're doing this from the perspective of what a kid would be like in this situation. In which case, annoying definitely fits the bill.
I honestly had no plan to watch it because I really did not enjoy the second or third seasons. The
second season was arguably, I think, the weakest of all of them.
Oh, I thought 3 was terrible. I thought season 3 was just terrible. It was a struggle to watch that whole thing. I really struggled to not just turn it off and give up.
Oh, 3, I will say, definitely did have some very strongly weak parts. Like, so strong that you hurt yourself, kind of.
Like,
weak.
I had no plans to even watch more of it after that season.
So far, the only things I've liked about 4 is mainly that they didn't stick to their guns in one of the people that gets deaded at some point in the first 3 seasons.
Oh, I know. Well, I know what you're talking about. They show that character at the end of season 3. It's incredibly obvious, even there.
They did?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
And in the trailer for the new season too.
Oh, are you shitting?
But again, okay. It's not a surprise. It's not. I don't think it's. I mean, is it even supposed to be?
That is, I think, the weakest part of that season, because from what I've seen, it is that person, and it's just fucking depressing. But also at the same time, in them not sticking to their guns, they have done an exceptionally well job at basing this season off of the collective trauma of the first 3 seasons.
But if you don't care about some of that, then does it actually?
Well, as somebody, I guess, who had to go to trauma therapy a few different times in my life, I was like, okay, wow, this is really realistic, and that you don't want to talk to this stranger about anything, and that how unbottling all of this stuff can be conducive to not letting it eat you alive, figuratively or literally.
Sure. But I guess it's just, if you don't care about the actual specific things that happen to these characters, that isn't effective.
I suppose in one way, yes, and in the other, no. Because in one way, just because you were like, thank God this person's dead, doesn't mean like their little sister is like cool with it, even if they weren't on the best of terms. Like, for the longest time, I hate my brother, or like hated my older brother. But if he died, I would have been, like, destroyed.
Sure, totally.
And so, I guess, in separating from the individual characters and their minutia that involves them, and looking at the general narrative concept and execution, I would say they do that part very well. Because they take guilt and fear and shame, like,
God damn
it really lets you kind of get a physical manifestation of what that would be like, to a degree. Now, I'm not saying that if you didn't like season 2 or 3 that you'll like season 4, like, because that would be asking season 4 to make up for the crimes of season 2 and season 3.
I mean, and also, like, if you enjoyed it, I'm not saying you shouldn't or you can't either.
Oh,
it did not work for me.
Straight up didn't enjoy season 2. But I thought season 3 was a little bit better in some ways, but also it definitely still had problems.
And I felt the opposite. I immediately, with season 2, I wasn't a fan, but I thought 3 was just an even bigger step down.
I like that they at least depowered the MacGuffin at the end of season 3. And so far, a decent way into season 4, it hasn't been recovered. And what looks like a potential path to recover the MacGuffin looks like it might involve accidentally creating a separate eviler monster.
Okay. I mean, if the MacGuffin is what you're talking about and what I'm thinking of, isn't that so core to the narrative of the show that as an audience member it's kind of impossible to believe that it would stay gone? That, you know?
Yeah, like I definitely thought it would come back, but to the extent of like making it so that like, okay, yeah, it coming back could potentially be a very bad thing, and maybe we want it to stay gone. I like that they're at least willing to do that, rather than making the MacGuffin be this perfect thing.
Sure, and that, yeah, no, I totally agree with that. That's a good... Oh my god.
And they also do that with one of the characters. Character heavily alluded to coming back. Oh wait, no, you're thinking of a totally different person. Okay, there's two people that come back. One of them is actually hinted at. One of them is a total fucking, oh, fuck you, thought he was dead, only had a stroke, because that's Eleven's power.
Okay.
So one of the people she's killed makes a comeback.
Okay.
And it's actually for like a totally, like, reasonable thing. Like, she didn't know the full scope of her power. You just see people with blood coming out of their eyes. And, like,
right.
People do cry blood and, you know, live after that. But at the same time, I'm just like, really? I feel like you could have, like, you know, maybe done more with, like, this person's dead, here's why it would have been good to leave them alive, and how the emotional aspect of in the moment, maybe killing them was a bad idea because they could have served a greater good alive. And instead you're fighting from this place of, like, fighting without knowledge, because it seems like the first 3 seasons, they end up fighting whatever because they figure out the right amount of knowledge to figure out a weakness or a method of combat.
It's this. I mean, I feel like it's the same thing every single time too. So.
Yeah, and to a degree, I agree with that. Actually, no, I do agree with that a lot.
I just think Stranger Things would have worked much better if it had just been that single season and it was a miniseries and they just stopped.
I feel like that would have been a good thing to do, but with how popular it was, Netflix was not going to let that go.
Yeah, and I mean that's just another reason.
It was going to turn these kids into child stars. It was going to turn this thing into a franchise.
It didn't need to be a franchise. It should not. I really don't think it should have been.
If they have any spin-offs, like, it'll be as distasteful as most spin-offs really actually are.
Yeah, there's only a few spin-offs here and there, like Angel or Better Call Saul, that are like actually good.
But yeah, I did think leaving one character that they brought back, like, leave him dead, you know? Like, have to try to fucking fight blindly against the darkness like everyone else has been doing so far. Though I will admit, at least some of the ways they find out their knowledge are specifically only because they are, like, high school kids. We're like, people don't trust pigs. But they trust, you know, a high school reporter.
Right. Because they know so much, you know.
Well, yeah, well, like, the way I think of it is, like, people open up to the precociousness of youth because they feel
people that are that young are not actually that precocious, though. That's actually a huge issue I have in storytelling in general. Like, kids always are made out to be far more intelligent than they actually are.
Well, that's true.
But kids being precocious I actually find extremely annoying.
like, yeah, because, okay, from my point of view, kids
Sometimes
are often
it's okay.
smarter than adults, but only to a point.
I disagree entirely.
And not in traditional knowledge, because, like, I know a lot more things, and I have a lot more realistic views of what the world is. But, like, if you're talking about kids that are viewing this monster as, like, a D&D villain because that's how they cope with it, but then they use, like, the ability to talk to people who normally don't trust people in authority as people who are outside of authority, which is something that adults do a lot in TV. But, like...
Doesn't that just depend on if the adult is someone that trusts authority or not? I mean...
Well, I feel like a lot of people are... Okay, I don't want to say everyone, or even the majority of the population, is apprehensive of authority.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say a lot of the people I know are apprehensive of authority,
sure,
regardless of their role, be it law enforcement, medical care.
I mean, I never did my
manager
homework
at the McDonald's.
I never did my homework when I was in school, so...
Exactly. Like, teachers, they don't trust people in authority, and that's because...
Well, teachers are authority.
Well, yeah. But, like...
Some of the worst authority, actually.
Yeah, because, like... Okay.
Fuck.
Horror stories from, Tim's school. I went to a relatively regular, like, elementary school. But the teachers that they gave us when my 5th grade teacher died of cancer... I'm sorry, when he was dying of cancer... they gave me Miss Riefenberger, who I still can't get over.
Great name. Yeah, great name.
It's a great name.
Sounds like a character on Bob's Burgers.
But, like, making no attempt to know the people behind who, like the people. Okay. Knowing who you're teaching is part of being able to teach, because everyone learns differently. And having someone in a teaching position who is so ardent as to be an actual person who gets the nickname Riefenbitch within, like, weeks of being at your school, because you're trying to force these kids that were just learning a different way into your method of teaching. And that is a way to
I've never met a teacher that
an
didn't
entire
do that.
grade that did remarkably well compared to the other 5th grade class. I mean, I'm sorry, remarkably terrible compared to that other class.
I'll be honest, I've never personally met one good teacher. Not personally.
Been lucky enough to meet a couple genuinely good teachers. Like, funny enough, my first good teacher, Miss Timish, 2nd grade, she was the person in charge of AP learning, and I got to work with her until I was in 6th grade.
Nice.
But she was, like, genuinely willing to get down on someone's level and listen to how they want to learn and present them with an opportunity to do it. Like, I was really fascinated with Indonesia. So she was like, all right, well, we're going to have a World Cultures program or exhibit coming up. So, like, you don't get to work on that now, but I'll start working with you on a project for when we are doing that.
That's cool.
Like, taking topics that kids want to learn about and teaching them through those topics.
Fuck. I keep rolling right into it.
I feel like that's the Dark Souls spirit, rolling into something. And then I think my other favorite teacher was the 9th grade teacher that actually taught world history outside of the textbooks.
You definitely have to teach outside of textbooks if you're going to teach at all.
Yeah. And that, I think, is why I liked him the most, because every history teacher up to that point had taught me, like, how many times did they teach you about the Civil War and the Revolutionary War?
Zero, because the information that they had was just like, well, this was signed at this date and this was this date. So 0 times,
And this
because
is what
there's lots of
who won
interesting
said.
things. Right, but there's lots of genuinely interesting things about those periods of time and those events, and I didn't learn any of them when I was actually in school.
Like
Those everything
teacher in
interesting I learned
particular
was outside of school.
taught us history that was outside of the early 1980s, because U.S. history stopped after the Cold War. And it has stayed that way for the last 25 or 30 years now. They release new textbooks, don't get me wrong, but it's so that they can remove vocabulary that's dated.
Well, it's the main reason is because they can't they need to make money, so they
Oh, and then they restructure where things are in the textbook, so you have to buy the new textbook. So when the teacher says go to page 50, the page
Yeah.
50 is different across all 12 versions.
but
because
it is the same basic information. It's
it's
just
the same information, just
Yeah.
reformatted.
Yeah, so they have an excuse to sell you more books. Oh, it's a scam. It's a scam. The education system in this country is a massive fucking scam.
And that is, I think, the reason I only had those couple of 2 good teachers, because the one that was willing to let you research all of Indonesia and actually go into the culture of Indonesia, and
I mean, yeah,
she
that's
worked
cool.
with us to help get artifacts from the Science Museum of Minnesota that we could research.
No, that's legitimately cool.
And then, the other teacher actually teaching me about, all right, here's what the fall of the Berlin Wall was like. All right, now we're going to actually go past that this time.
Going past that.
Or before it. I mean,
Well,
I
because,
don't feel like you learn anything before that either.
You don't. You straight up learn American history as told by the winners for the course of
I mean, that's also
and the
how all
periods immediately
history.
preceding.
That's how all countries do it too. I mean, that's not unique.
True, but
Bad,
I'd say
regardless, but not unique.
America is one of the guiltiest of it. There are some countries that will actually teach history outside of their national
Some.
history, but
Some,
that's
but not-
mostly
not
relegated
many.
to college courses.
And college is worse about it.
I will say, the history courses I took in college, you can elect to take good history courses. You can elect to take the same
At
history you've
some
been fucking
schools.
learning.
If you're
but at
going
least
to
at,
school on the coasts, then no, it's not an option.
well, in Minnesota, for example, one of our colleges, the one I went to,
I'm fine.
taught full-on fucking world history
Yeah.
over the course of 2 semesters, dating back from 7000 BC to, I'd say, 1800 for one of them. And then the next one is just on the last 220 years.
Okay.
So,
one thing too is I think that you really need to have, if you really want to teach all these different things, you can really only cover the basics of so many things if you're going to do a bunch of different things. The best you're going to learn is when you have specialized, super specialized, in-depth, courses on a very specific individual subject. That's where you're going to learn the most.
And even with how far in depth, we went to the origins of each religion and how all Abrahamic religions are and she had us all come to this conclusion through just reading the different materials that a reasonable person would read through and go huh, wow, shit, those really are the same religions, except just told by different people with different books and different personal laws.
The
and
most
stuff.
ridiculous is Greek and Roman, because it's literally just the names are changed
Oh, yeah.
and that's it.
They were changed by the victors. Just because the Romans were able to win. But the Romans also won so good that the knowledge of things like assault-proof cement You use it by mixing it with seawater. And the manuscripts that specifically would have stated that were destroyed. They had to work off of it because they were just working with rudimentary stuff from like people's houses that they'd found that said mix fucking water with this. But their coast water is most likely going to be salt water. But you only get that. Like, it was made by accident. Like, we rediscovered that shit by accident because a fucking student got the wrong bottle of water.
That is hilarious. But also, it's funny because we wondered about how Roman concrete was made for such a long time, and then like I remember when that happened, and maybe a month later, we got biological living concrete.
Yeah, they applied
like-
that same principle, knowing based off of that, and they haven't figured out the exact bacteria or fungi that they're going to use, because they figured out that they're likely going to have to genetically engineer existing strain that's pretty close. But having
That sounds like it'll go
biological
well.
concrete.
Maybe they could do it in the Wuhan lab.
Well, see, they're changing it in the way that we've changed corn to be big as fuck. By just breeding
Someday the
it
corn's
with
gonna get
the
us,
oth-
man.
Okay, maybe
That's what
they
Children of
already
the
have
Corn was
Children
really
of the
about.
Corn. Yeah.
Yeah, the salmon will be the corn of the corn.
But yeah, they're
Okay,
just
this is
essentially
chaos.
taking the fungi with the properties that they want and swapping the genome in those segments. And so
Sure.
that and it's like watching how they actually go about the genetic
Oh,
modification
Jesus Christ.
process. Like outside of CRISPR, it's done purely through generational breeding, which is how it's been for like thousands of years. We've been genetically modifying organisms for almost as long as society as a whole has existed. That fucking thing is so...
Oh shit.
I wonder what that creature is called. They usually have stupid funny
asshole.
names.
Pain in my ass, that's what he's called.
Pain in my asshole, pain in my asshole.
Gotta see a doctor about it, man.
What I also really did like about that class is how it managed to weed out the people that weren't open to, like, I'd say about
What,
a
thinking?
quarter of the class didn't want to critically think about religion or
Was it because they were religious?
history. Oh yeah. Like,
Well, I mean, you're
half
taught
of
to
that
not
quarter
question
was
stuff.
Christians. So like, it really shows you about how tolerant Christianity is.
It's tolerant for itself.
Yeah, they tolerate every Christian as long as they fit into the right categories and are also Christian.
That's also, I mean, that's also all.
That's all history, though, with humans. Humans have always been very good at picking subsets of humans they don't like, and then
Yeah,
kind of
that's just
being
how it
like,
works.
hey, the
in
gods
human
don't
nature
like
to
this
do
group
that.
of people.
Yeah. It's just in human nature. That's just inevitable.
And human nature is just animal nature. But one thing I
Right.
think that humans have the potential for is to kind of overcome
Oh,
that
I
kind
don't
of-
think humans can really do that. I think it's a
we
nice
have-
idea, but
I think if we have the ability to observe ourselves and come to these conclusions, it means eventually, maybe not in our time, maybe not in our grandchildren's time, but society has evolved and will continue to evolve. For right or wrong, but evolve it does.
yeah, I mean, there's an idea that people have that it's like there's always some sort of forward progress being made.
Oh,
And
it's definitely a Richter scale of progress. because like we have people inventing batteries and
Oh well,
being
technological
like,
process. That's one
the
thing.
Greeks, even just within their own society, there's technological progress, there's societal, philosophical, educational progress that waxes and wanes throughout their history. Like, you get fucking great philosophers in one age, and you get absolutely nothing for like 100 years afterwards,
Betty.
and they slide back into war.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's what how I know that you're an optimist and I'm a pessimist.
I'm not more of a pessimist and more of a like.
I'm a catastrophist. If there was a good word for me, catastrophist would be a good one.
It's more of a realist for me because humanity has to continue to evolve to survive.
Oh, sure, but
Not
those
necessarily.
being morally positive, or I just think that's the idea that I don't believe in.
Well, think of like today. A whole bunch of marginalized groups where before we would have just either
That could
savagely
very easily
destroyed their
change.
entire race or like wipe out a country. We still do it. We still absolutely do that. But we don't do it as much as a global whole as we
Oh, I'd
used
say
to.
we do it more. I would say we actively do it more. We're occupying a third of Syria. We're bombing Somalia. We're funding Saudi Arabia's genocide in Yemen. We actively do it more now.
True.
On a
But
global
I
scale.
suppose
A domestic
on a global
scale.
it happens less. On a domestic scale, we're
Oh no,
possibly one of the
global
best at
scale it's
wiping
more.
it out.
Global scale it's more. Way more.
See, I think on a global scale, it's more a minority of countries than it was before. Like, we've consolidated the ability to genocide.
Right. Again, I just listed like 3 countries that were doing like that in right now. It was 4 very recently. Shit. Wow, okay, this guy's pattern is fucking me all up. Damn. I don't know. I think if you
That is
look
a
at it
highly mobile
domestically,
boss.
it seems a lot better. If you
Oh,
look at
it
it
definitely-
globally, it's
Seems
worse
better
than it's
because
ever
it's
been.
not happening here, because it already happened here. We already wiped out the domestic culture. And that's why it seems better from a domestic perspective.
But from a global perspective, it's happening
And-
just as much, if not more.
And yeah, I suppose we're more likely to have survivors of genocide, but we're less likely to have their history survive. Because
In ancient Rome, the
There's
single
we-
most
we
severe
also-
punishment would be to have yourself erased from all public record. Not execution. Being erased from public record was considered a way worse punishment than just being killed.
and that was even true in the Shinto and Buddhist and several other Central and Eastern Asian religions and cultures. Is like, if you wanted to destroy a Buddhist philosophy, you went to the creator of that Buddhist philosophy's tomb, burned it down, and threw
Yep.
his corpse in a river.
Absolutely. Yep. That's.
But
Oh,
I do
fuck.
believe that we, as a society, have gotten better at not performing even just outright genocide,
I disagree.
but cultural genocide, where you destroy the cities, you destroy the libraries, you take
look
in the
at-
people but force them to adapt to your culture, and you punish them severely for adapting theirs or taking theirs with them.
I disagree. We funded ISIS. Look at all the art and history and temples and shit ISIS destroyed because we funded them, and then they broke away because of their access to what we gave them, and then did
Well,
exactly
they just
what
took
you're
a
saying.
look at our genocide and were like, hey, we could do that, but for our own goals.
Well, but again, it's a direct direct cause and effect of us funding them. So that is still
absolutely.
on the United. That is on the United
Same
States.
thing with Al Qaeda. We absolutely funded Al Qaeda.
Yeah. You can. Me and Alex were just talking yesterday about how you can pull up newspaper articles talking about how Osama bin Laden is like the most heroic freedom fighter there is.
Oh yeah, because Saddam Hussein, despite what the U.S. government will say about him, did raise a tremendous amount of people in that region from poverty, which the U.S. was no.
He was also
that.
well. That's not why we did it. It was because Saudi Arabia did not like Saddam Hussein and wanted him out of their way to keep their power structure in the region. We did that shit as a favor to Saudi Arabia. That's where that came from.
But who did we install into power when we took Saddam Hussein out of power?
No one consistent.
Compliant with Western. Well, they tried to put somebody compliant with Western requests and stuff. But then, what happened to that person? Because
ISIS was compliant with Western requests at one point.
Exactly. And it's just whoever's willing to give us the oil, like. Okay, how familiar are you with the politics of oil in East Africa?
Oh, East Africa? Not as much as like the Middle East, but some.
The Eastern remarkable amount of what happened to the Middle East happened to them. Only the same racism that played into, everything against black people in America goes on to that, in which saying, by absolutely destroying this country, we're making it better. Because they don't know any better. We can't give them all of their resources. What would they do with them? And so we take approximately 85 to 95% of all oil and profits from oil away from East African countries. And we've been doing that since it was discovered that there was oil in those countries. And so we've been perpetually fucking up a system of 13 countries in East and Central Africa.
That's the only reason T-shirts at Walmart aren't more than $100.
Yeah.
And that's the truth of it. Is it's to keep the petrodollar strong and prices in stores.
Yeah, because you make plastic fiber clothing, and then shoot anyone who says, "Hey, hemp clothing might be cheaper, or maybe just not plastic clothing."
Shit. I swear I'm listening to. I am also just this guy is really kicking my ass.
But yeah, America's been so good at it that we've been able to fuck up East Africa with people talking about it even less than the Middle East.
See, I think everything you're saying is proving my point that it's even worse than it ever was.
Well, see, it is worse.
You just have to look globally.
In a lot of ways, it is worse. I'm not saying even a lot.
Domestically, I understand the point. It's just that if you're only looking domestically, it's putting your hand over half a picture, you know.
Well, and I think because imagine how long were we doing this stuff globally? But up to a point, you were just a conspiracy theorist if you even talked about any of this, right?
You still are.
You are.
You know the CIA came up with the term conspiracy theory, right? To make people that question the term conspiracy theory was put out there by the CIA to make people that question the government sound crazy.
And that, I think, should just be proven by how many times the CIA conspiracy theories have thrown out to just be absolutely true, 100% true, not even a crazy thing about them.
They're just
like UFOs, and the CIA is just fucking. Of course, but we're not even focused on UFOs because...
this is not a joke that I thought of at all. I've heard many people say this. But conspiracy theories really just need to start being referred to as spoiler alerts.
Yeah. Because I think we have a better hope as a society because more and more knowledge is being decentralized. It's being more and more difficult to completely censor knowledge about the atrocities that Western society predominantly perpetuates. I'm not saying Eastern culture isn't doing a genocide right now, looking at you, Uyghurs, but...
Or most of the time, always throughout all of human history, because that's how humans are, and it really has nothing to do with West or East or race or anything, because human beings are just like that.
Who's been better at it currently? And
well, it's just all human beings are like that, and unless you have an extreme socialized, educated society, that's just period. Humans are bad. I
is
get
something
I'm a
that we're
pessimist,
slowly working towards. Like, it definitely
maybe
doesn't
right
seem
now, but
through
that
it.
progress will be undone.
But like, also, humans have been around for... We're figuring out humans have been around for over 500,000 years, not 20,000 or even 50,000 years like we thought. We're thinking they might also possibly be millions of years old. We just don't have any evidence because the evidence is so old. So, the fact that we can go from warring caveman tribes that completely drive out the other genetic distinctions to extinction,
Right.
proves that on a timescale far bigger than we're built to conceive of, things
Right.
have improved. They've also gotten
For
worse
some
in
people.
some ways.
They've improved for some. I mean, it hasn't.
Well, ask the
You can say
neighbors
it's
of,
better
like,
or worse for specific individuals or certain groups, but there's
also just
always
depends
someone on the
on
wrong end.
mode of philosophy that you view it with, because the intrinsic value of, or the intrinsic quality of life can't necessarily be like quantified, but in terms of like progress, I suppose.
Well, technologically, yeah. I mean, and I'm not saying we're
Technological
not.
progress, yes. Cultural progress, also yes, because
Well,
we're developing more
it's a
and
pendulum,
more.
though. It could just as easily go back worse than it ever was. It could
like,
easily swing that
Dark
way.
Ages.
Yeah.
Like, we went over with the Crusades,
Fuck.
wiped out a shit ton of centers of knowledge, and then we're like, wow, shit, look at all this knowledge we're inventing over the next 200 so years. Definitely not shit that was already discovered by other people. But also at the same time, the pendulum swings. It still swings. We still have a planet to swing it on, and like we're gradually killing the planet.
Well, we can't kill the planet. That's the total
The planet
nonsense.
will kill us. I suppose
Yeah,
I should
the-
say.
the planet
We're
will
killing our
shake us
habitable
off like-
biosphere.
Yeah, that's more accurate because the planet will just shake us off like a bad case of fleas and just grow some different shit like that. We can't kill the planet. There's no there's no such thing as saving the planet. That's nonsense.
One particular scientific theory I've been a fan of is everything is biological to a point on a given scale. So, like, we can only perceive of things on a time scale relative to our lifespan. But the Earth
Right.
has a remarkably longer lifespan.
Right.
For all we know, that shit sheds its leaves every so often.
Oh, it does. I mean, I think we do know that. That's what every
That's how
Ice
we know
Age
that there
is.
have
That's
been
what every-
5 different mass extinction events, and that we're in the middle of the 6th one.
yeah. Which weirdly was the plot of Death Stranding, but anyway.
But fun fact, before there was a moon, there was also Earth.
We've got to team up
But
with
we
the moon.
have no idea of what Earth was like before the moon impacted, because it completely liquefied the surface into magma.
Fuck.
It like shattered the mantle, shattered the crust, and like essentially made the entire planet mantle.
Damn, man.
So, like, for all we know, extinctions have been happening far longer than we even know. But the idea that things are specifically cyclical or pendulum in nature is certainly one way to look at it.
Well, human
But-
nature is the environment and nature in a sense of things that don't think or comprehend themselves, that is, I think, different.
I think it absolutely
Human nature
cycles
is what does not
and
change.
pendulum effects do absolutely exist outside of non-sentient.
Oh, sure,
things,
but
but
I'm
humans
saying
are all
that
about,
humans
like,
won't ever
subverting
get out of
nature.
that. Sure, but I don't. Humans will never subvert human nature, is what I'm saying. Maybe
See-
for a very short temporary amount of time, but that at the absolute most.
Yeah, that's
And that's the
That
pendulum
is-
effect. God damn it. Fuck off. Oh my god. I'm probably doing this so wrong, too. I'm probably somebody watching this is like, what the fuck, you idiot. This is not how you're supposed to do this.
I suppose the not the crux necessarily, but one of the pinpoints of the, my worldview is that with the decentralization and improved access to knowledge, I think that is ultimately one way to push humanity towards bettering itself.
I
towards
agree
escaping its
with
nature.
that. I agree with that. I just don't think it'll ever happen.
And I think part of that also has to happen by actually emphasizing research on public education, on how people learn, on how
That'll
you
never happen.
teach, because
Not
we
on a
got-
wide scale.
we learned that 100 and so years ago when public schools began to be like an actual thing in anywhere, and we
In
kind of haven't
government
really
training
done a whole
facilities?
lot of research. It wasn't even developed in government training studies. Like
That's
we're
what they
talking
are
like
now.
schoolhouses.
No, that's what they are right now. Is they are government training
There are
facilities.
loads of dissemination of whichever knowledge the Congress approves of, at least in our country. And the government has not deigned fit in the last 40 years to give us any new knowledge. And the knowledge it was giving us was back in the goddamn Cold War era. So it's not exactly like it's not tainted or skewed. It's pretty much almost all skewed.
If it gave you superpowers, shit, I don't know,
Depends
man.
on the superpower.
Yeah, what if it's like what if you can like only change the channel by blinking or something? God
Like,
damn it!
I would take low-level telekinesis if it meant the government experimenting on me.
Oh man, that's how you get cancer.
Well, I'm starting to think this might be a boss you need to like sleep and then come back to.
Yeah, it might be. God, you stupid fucking bitch.
Well, that is one thing that has started to happen regardless
Come
of
on, man.
the government. It's why
Fuck.
you've seen the government intervene in schools so much now relative to like 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, is because there have been more initiatives driven by teachers and private educators to actually figure out how do you teach children, which would be a more actual thing that was like, but it's not what we cared about for the longest time of teaching history. We cared about the kids knowing what we wanted them to know, and nothing else. We didn't
Yeah, I
teach
mean
them
that.
how to learn.
Again, as with all
We didn't teach
civilizations.
ourselves how to teach. Well, and like that is the true of most civilizations. I'm not saying just U.S. I guess I only
Oh,
say
no,
it
I
from
know,
the
I know, I'm
perspective
just-
of a U.S. education.
But that's why I just don't think it's possible to do any better on a grand scale in a long run, because humans just are going to naturally do that, because that's in the human nature to do that.
And that's why almost invariably it seems to be private universities or private institutes that are willing to fund studies into
Oh my
how
God.
to improve learning among children, not just towards like what you're teaching them. You're not teaching them how to take your tests correctly. You're not teaching them how to learn about the Civil War correctly. You're teaching them how to absorb information and how to seek out quality information rather than information potentially skewed by political bias or skewed by like
Well, it's impossible to
historical
not
bias.
have a bias too. I mean, it is
It's
impossible to not have
impossible.
one.
I mean, it is
It-
impossible to have no bias.
None
But
whatsoever.
it's possible to have less intrinsic bias and less overt
To a
bias.
degree.
And to teach about
And
bias.
it's and to teach about bias in the first place, because that is something that's incredibly absent in the schoolroom, is actually being able to teach a kid thinking in a critical manner of like, all right, I learned this, but who taught the person that learned this and then taught it to me? Like, why is this what I'm being taught? And for what reason am I learning this?
True, but then sometimes that has the reverse effect where they become so aware of that bias that they become biased towards accurate information if it comes from a particular source, and then they just have a different bias.
And that is exactly why we need to study, improve upon, and finally craft the ability to teach and the ability to teach children to learn.
Never
Because
gonna
that's-
happen. I'm sorry.
It's happening, but just not nearly as much as it would be as if it was like an entire country doing it, instead of just a small number of people doing whatever they can with whatever
that's
limited
never
amount of
gonna
money
happen.
they're able to like squeeze out of people. Because, and that's one of the cruxes of it, is because you're constantly having
Nope,
several
goddamn it.
different teams of privatized people
Fuck.
instead of anyone working on like
God damn it.
a more unified approach. Because like
Superpowers, you get boobs on your face? No, I'm good then. I don't want that one.
I feel like boobs might also be overrated. That's a hot take from Tim.
Massively disagree, Tim. Personally,
I think
massively
boobs
disagree.
are great. As someone who is a great appreciator of boobs, I think they're great. But have you ever looked at an 80s movie?
Yeah, they knew what
Like-
they knew what they knew what they were doing.
What, they had an aneurysm? That's the only thing you know.
It's-
If anything, they were underrated even then.
Well, boobs are great on a level of we are trained and hard-coded to
Yeah.
like boobs and seek them out because that's what we drank from, and if we didn't seek out boobs, we would die. But beyond that, it's a widely acknowledged thing that outside of Eurocentric culture, boobs are not nearly as sexualized. Again, pointing to East and I suppose a bit to West African cultures. And I keep pointing to those parts of Africa because when you go to South Africa, you just get the fucking British imprint on everything there. And a lot of the things that are like
God damn it!
You
Stop
can't-
bitch slapping me.
like because apartheid was very much so a cultural genocide. And so a lot of things people look to South Africa for and say that's Africa. No, that's post-apartheid South Africa. That's what the colonizers shaped it to be. And that's why like
God
people
damn it!
from South Africa specifically call themselves South Africans. But again, like the native cultures
I
in
was
East
so close.
East Africa, where there was a documentary being done about things different cultures find sexually attractive, and one of the more common things that people don't find universally attractive is boobs. And
Well, I'm just gonna
the
say
people
they're
that
wrong.
don't think it's hilarious
Sorry.
that they are liked. They're like, why do the adults go for the thing babies like? Are they babies?
I mean, I'm just gonna say they're wrong. I don't even care.
So you're saying if you went to a topless beach, there would be no desexualization of it?
Topless beach here?
Yeah.
Maybe for some people, but
Because there are nude beaches in America, in the U.S. of A. Uncle Sam's backyard.
well, there's nudist colonies. I mean, there's straight up nudist colonies too. I mean,
Yeah, there are nudist colonies, but there are also like topless beaches. Like as long as you're looking.
I mean,
for
I
them,
definitely
you
don't
can
have a
find
problem
them.
with it.
But I think the reason they exist as topless beaches are because people are able to free themselves of the overt sexualization of a sexual
That
characteristic.
just depends on who's going there.
Oh, I'm not precocious enough to say that there is not people who go to nude beaches for sexual gratification.
In this country, I think it's probably most of them.
Yeah, in this country, this country's fucking depressing.
I walked into that one. That was my fault entirely.
The only superpower I could get, I suppose, is where all of this started. Was to
Yeah,
get boobs
yeah.
on my face.
Uh-huh.
I would have a lot more to ask for.
All right, one more try, and then we're gonna stop because this is. God, fuck! I hate you.
Oh,
God
a little fun
damn
fact
it.
about South Africa, since I did
And
bring
there
it
we
up
go.
briefly,
Fucking
is that they
bitch.
did find ancient cities there. There were fucking ruins there from ancient cities, thousands of years old.
Are you talking about the lost city in South Africa where they had like the gold smelting factories? Yeah. I know all about that shit.
And so like that's another kind of thing about how implicit bias kind of forms how we're able to learn. Because the people who were originally learning from that region, their implicit bias was that the people here couldn't be smart enough to do these things, so we're not even going to look for them here, because we're not going to find them.
Well,
And
it's
then when
not
they did
even
find
that;
traces
it's that
of
they
it, were
covered
like,
it up.
well, there's no way that could be. And then they found out, yeah, that's
They
what
covered
it
it
was.
up for-
Okay, shit, we got to cover this up because we were wrong for so long, and
Yeah.
that makes us look really bad.
I know I said one more, but
Just another hit. Just
you had a story to tell, so I figured.
Well, ancient golden cities were like fucking phenomenal. And I believe the only reason that city kind of
God
fell
damn
was
it.
because the influx of gold decreased. And so it's not like a great event wiped it out, it's just that people stopped moving there and people stopped wanting to stay there. It's also kind of funny that a lot of times in movies, lost cultures
fuck.
are portrayed as some sort of cataclysmic event wiping them out. When it's
Well, a
like,
lot of those civilizations did believe that a cataclysmic event was wiping them out at the time.
like the ancient Aztecs. Did you know that the pyramids the Aztecs built their society around, they were not from the Aztecs. They moved into an even older civilization.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, some of that shit is fucking ancient.
So that's one of the things that I find so interesting about Mesopotamian culture is because, also, in terms of how much we know about the world, we still relatively don't know that much about
No, we don't.
Mesopotamia. We're using LiDAR and figuring out, holy shit, there were massive, sprawled out, talking like 4,300 square mile civilizations that had very meticulously planned settlement layout structures and road plans and geometric patterns in the road systems between those towns. They like the city planning that people were capable of in at least ancient Mesopotamia is just absolutely awe-inspiring. Because the time scale that those things existed on too, like these are societies that were built over the course of like thousands of years to gain this spot.
Oh, I did
and
it.
then it was
I did
like
it.
a fucking few dry seasons and then a couple really wet seasons fucking makes it not viable.
Yeah, no, that's true. Also, sorry, I got distracted because I did.
Oh no,
I
you
fucking
got the last one.
God damn it! Yeah. Well, we got to go open the door before we stop, then, right?
we
I
do.
mean, like, what if the game is like, open the door and then another boss and then the game's over? Mourn the passing of Betty. Revered as a god, others feared as a wild, untamable beast, and to a small few, loved as a radiant beauty. Many lifetimes lived atop the mountains, flying locals with fur and untimely deaths. She can now rest. Bow your head in remembrance and pay your last respects. Her time in this world is over. All right. Well, sweet. Hello, Cat.
I like that it holds a little memoriam
For the enemies.
each of the major bosses.
Not many video games do that for like one of the villains. Oh, I can do that over here. Okay.
Because, like, for all we know, Stalin made a great quiche.
Maybe he did. Oh, someone's been
It's like,
spying
I'm pretty
on
sure you
us.
can say something good about anyone at the memoriam. It's all a matter of looking hard enough.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Also, not to like keep you here extra long because I know we have gone on longer than we normally do.
I mean, you're making a tremendous amount of progress, and the commentary is coming easier this session because relative to the last
Every
2
single
weeks,
time it
my
gets
throat
better.
feels terrific. It might be
Oh,
the
fair enough.
steroids I'm on, but I feel terrific. Like, terrific enough to still not be able to work tomorrow, but terrific.
Well, shit, yeah, let's go open this door. But no, it's a good conversation, man. I mean, I think we always do. We always do. But I mean, it's also the nature of just the more you do this, the better you get at being able to just kind of fly off
true.
the cuff. I mean, it's a like most things, it's just a skill to be practiced. I mean, Game Grumps, Rage Select, Double Toasted, they all started somewhere. They all had to practice that and perfect it over years and years. And
Like talking about implicit bias in humanity is not prolific, but very persistent and I should say consistent knack for
persistent
genocide, and it's varying forms.
I'd say both work, honestly.
Yeah, because in like a scourge or pestilence, yes, it persists. In the other ways, it is still a thing, yes.
Oh, here we go. A much stronger Reaper than I. Could have never taken those giant souls down. Well, yeah, fuck you. I'm better than you. That's what I'm hearing, anyway. Let's force this door open and finish our assignments. Is this... Tim, will you look up whether this is, like, the end of the game or not? Because, like, if we come back and we play 20 minutes next week, it's like...
Have you fought... So...
Because if there's a lot more, then we can stop just on the other side of the door.
There is more, but they're kind of close together.
Okay.
Like, you won't...
So maybe... Okay. Alright. The white void. Okay. Or no life is to be seen. Who is that? Somebody's talking to us. Oh. Oh wait, it's like a human reaper. Oh, that's death. Just a little wave. So death is like a human form. The original reaper were just the mad ramblings of free crows. Huh. And I was real. That means you're not here to rescue me. For another purpose. Might be able to help us. Maybe. Rude. Wow, rude, but alright. A few more minutes. Why you're here? How did you get here? Through your door. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's literally... Huh. For this was to finish our task or show our stature with commission, otherwise we will die. For a soul here, then you're out of luck. Any non-corporeal souls that pass through the door are absorbed into the ether. Soul energy has to be recycled to create new life. So there's a reincarnation cycle in this. Your job is so important, not that the living didn't hate me for it. Are we getting a lore dump for Death's Door? I like the drawings. Pride Month tank top. No, that's not what this is. It's just a tank top.
I do like the lore dump we're getting.
Take them beyond the veil. Yeah, no, just a regular tank top. But it was so depressing. Not for the souls, they don't care, but for the living ones they left behind. She could let them know dying isn't scary, it's just the cycle of life. Thing is, over the vastness of time, I got very tired of that cycle. One day a strange being came to me with the proposition. Oh, so one of these guys locked death behind. Oh, okay. Create portals to any place or world. Offered to outsource the collection of souls to an automated system using one of their doors. This open would draw on the souls of the dead. Lighthouse on the shores of the ether, if you will. In return for this, they asked for their lives to be extended. Huh. Okay. Actually, I asked for immortality, but that's impossible. If souls stick around too long, past their expiry date, then with nothing left to tie them to mortality, they decay into demonic forms. All life must end. Well, eventually. So is that the final boss? Is the Lord that built all these doors? The Lord of Doors?
Do you think I would spoil that for you?
I mean, I'm extrapolating. I feel like that just makes sense. So I kicked back several generations of these self-proclaimed. You already know.
No.
Just came went. Just when agreeing in the end to submit to the limitations of life and go willingly. Until one didn't, which brings us to your current Lord of Doors. Okay. Towards the end of what should have been their lifespan, your Lord betrayed our long-standing agreement. They said there had been some kind of incident. The door had malfunctioned and needed to be remade anew. For the door to be reconstructed, it required the touch of death to link the door to the ether. Okay. I wish there was a little music or something going on in alongside this, but so this new door was created and opened. The Lord kicked me inside and sealed it shut. No way to escape. No way for stray souls to pass. No death among the living. Huh. Okay. He's got a zipper. I didn't notice he's got like a zipper and a fanny pack. Man, I didn't think death would be so lame. Been here alone ever since.
Death has lived long enough to understand that the only thing worth having in life is comfort.
A fanny pack?
Because fanny packs aren't pretty, but goddamn are they useful to have.
I have pockets, but must be here. It has to be here. Attracted to this door. Must have entered here somehow. Are you sure you haven't seen it? Without a body, it disappears. So are we just fucked then? Everything that begins has to end. Yeah, there's no hope for you, bird. Old bird man. Still be here somewhere. No. Wasted so many years searching for that soul. I refuse to die. Uh-oh. Since you're a little bit past your best before date. Oh, is he a boss? Is he a boss here? He loses his mind. There we go, the Grey Crow. Okay. Oh, fuck you. You just disappeared? Oh, shit.
Well, yeah, because I imagine it's within Death's purview.
Oh,
to be
Jesus
able
Christ.
to make,
Creative as
himself.
hell boss fight.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, yeah, very creative boss fight. This is cool as hell. This might be the coolest one out of all of them so far.
Especially because there's no background, you're just in a void.
Yeah. Visually, yeah, this is fucking cool. Ooh, shit. Doing good there for a moment, and I've just... Yeah, wow, I just got hit every time in a row there. Shit. Well,
Oh, even then he was starting to show some cracks.
Oh, shit. God damn it. Ooh. This is so well designed, though. Like, I'm kind of in awe of the... Oh, okay. We're in another phase of the fight. That's for sure. Oh, fuck. Oh, god damn it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh shit. Okay. There's more stuff on the screen now. I'm making progress, I think. Oh, man. Oh, fuck. They're like slowing me down.
Does a sword swing get rid of him at all?
Yes. Why didn't I think to just do that? Oh shit. Oh, I wasted that. Ooh.
Good thing you just got that bomb upgrade.
Seriously. Oh shit, I did it. I think I did it. Whew. Damn, my hands are actually sweating from that one. I felt a fresh breeze on my face or saw anything. Well, we saved death. I'd appreciate something until it's gone, do you? Until I at my job and until your Lord of Doors locked me up, I never thought it'd apply to me. So I'm a big feathered friend. It's always hard for the living to let go of the dead. You're more of a rough one having to reap him yourself. I could sort of understand that feeling. Even if it wasn't your intention, you've done me a huge favor here. This isn't over quite yet. As well, the door has been destroyed. My powers is unfortunately still trapped in its remains. Forging the door required a piece of my own soul, and I need it back before I could do my job again. So I'm going to end the cycle. Someone else has to take down the Lord of Doors. Have you guessed who? No shit. I'm not making any more deals, that's for sure. Head back to your office and reap your boss's soul. And remember, death is on your side. Jeez, alright. We're going to leave it there today. More progress than I even intended to make, I think. But, and we went like a solid extra half hour longer than I meant to. But, Tim, thank you for sticking through and doing the long stream with me.
Oh, hey, heck, I'm always down to see progress. And talk about boob face superpowers. I feel like if they've done butt faces, it's only a matter of time until they do boob faces on Rick and Morty.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
They also did hamsters out of butts, so it could be anything. Really.
It could be anything. It could literally. I'm just looking for a door so we can like save properly. But
he probably got rid of all the doors now that he knows you're bad. He's like, oh no.
Right. Oh, that's actually a good point. Oh, there's a door. Okay. Yeah, I just want to get back into the realm so I know it's saved. Oh goddamn! And then it starts a cutscene immediately. Sorry, Tim.
You're fine.
We've arrived at a moment foretold long ago. Today, Death's door has been opened, and Death themselves has been freed once more. If you're not, this is not the end of the days, but the beginning of a bright new future. The forces of life and death have been unnaturally thrown into chaos for 1,000 years, and we crows played a hand in that. We must right our wrongs. We must accept our fates. Reject those who lead us into a future with no hope. It's time for the Lord of Doors' reign to end, for us to return to a natural life cycle. Even as our world teeters on the edge of oblivion, souls like these forest spirits still manage to emerge through their cracks. Soon a new age will begin, and the world will teem with new life. For that to happen, the final hours of this foretold day must play out as ordained. The crow that freed Death will have to end the Lord of Doors' reign. I mean, talk me up, why don't you? Okay, cool. That's a good save spot. We shouldn't have to. Yeah. Can we get an upgrade? No, we don't have enough for that. All right. We're stopping here. Tim, thank you. I'll find someone to raid real quick, and then we will be off.
And thank you, Afternoon Tune, for sticking around.
Yeah, seriously, Afternoon Tune. We appreciate you hanging out as always, and I hope you have a fantastic evening as well.
And Automatic Kalashnikov all day 123. We thank you for coming out and visiting us. Really appreciate you.
Who are you talking about?
Oh, AK all day.
Oh,
Automatic Kalashnikov.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, Alex is here briefly. I'm sure he might still have us on like on standby, but I don't think he's actually like paying attention anymore, which is okay. Anyway, good night, everyone, and we'll see you next time. Probably for a pretty short part 5.
I'm waving, but you can't see it. But just know that I am.
No, you can't. All right. Tim, I hope you have a fantastic